You thought you was safe? Yeah. Yeah, you thought you was safe or good. Everybody looking for a home, looking for a click, looking for a place where the realness sticks. We out here building, trying to be free, but you just here to use them plain to see. I see you a user, a culture vulture, a leech, acting like you love the speech just so you can preach. You see the glow, you wanna get near it. You hear the soul, you try to engineer it. Wanna be in the circle, get the benefits, but you ain't put the work in. You just counterfeit. You a political operative, smiling in their face, just a snake in the grass, trying to take their place.
We out here searching for a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights.
Yeah. It's the activist in me that's gotta speak the truth. I'm allergic to the fake, been like this is my youth. See them in the comments, singing all the praise. Go sis, go, while they plotting in the haze. Plotting on a downfall, plotting on a spot. Thinking they can use a light to get what they ain't got. But you can't use a mirror, you can't use a queen. Your whole entire persona is a fucked up scene. You a resource sucker, energy drain. They bring the clouds, we just trying to bring the rain. But we see you, yeah, we see you. Your little mask is cracked and now you corner about to see how you
searching for a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. People don't care about your life or your struggle. They just wanna break you down and make your hustle tumble. Now we see the true colors at the core of these people. Their whole foundation is evil. We at war and we question these people. Golden has love for her people, and I've been trying to warn people. This is the ugly truth of the world.
Watching all the snakes uncurl, here's the revelation, the part you should've known. A person's real character is when their anger's shown. You got pressed, you got mad, and all that fake ass love you had turned to poison. Jealousy and spite, they hate cause you that bitch and shining too bright. You ain't no friend, you just a hater in disguise. Walk past, head high, don't look them in the eyes. So here's the diss, you lost, you're done. Your fake support is over, your little game is run. You pop yourself, bitch, we ain't have to do a thing. Just sat back and watch you pull your own damn string. You been popped, you can't infiltrate this. Your mask is on the floor, go pick up your shit. We out, we out. You kid, yeah, yeah. You thought you was safe? Yeah, you thought you was safe or good. Everybody looking for a home, looking for a click, looking for a place where the realness sticks. We out here building, trying to be free, but you just here to use them plain to see. I see you a user, a culture vulture, a leech, acting like you love the speech just so you can preach. You see the glow, you wanna get near it. You hear the soul, you try to engineer it. Wanna be in the circle, get the benefits, but you ain't put the work in. You just counterfeit. You a political operative, smiling in their face, just a snake in the grass, trying to take their place.
We out here searching for a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights.
Yeah. It's the activist in me that's gotta speak the truth. I'm allergic to the fake, been like this is my youth. See them in the comments, singing all the praise. Go sis, go, while they plotting in the haze. Plotting on a downfall, plotting on a spot. Thinking they can use a light to get what they ain't got. But you can't use a mirror, you can't use a queen. Your whole entire persona is a fucked up scene. You a resource sucker, energy drain. They bring the clouds, we just trying to bring the rain. But we see you, yeah, we see you. Your little mask is cracked and now you corner about to see how you
searching for a tribe, trying to be free, trying to live our best life, but the snakes stay close, wearing a disguise. Now you got mad, showed your true self, no surprise. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. You been pop, dumb bitches, read your rights. struggle. They just wanna break you down and make your hustle tumble. Now we see the true colors at the core of these people. Their whole foundation is evil. We at war and we question these people. Golden has love for her people, and I've been trying to warn people. This is the ugly truth of the world.
Watching all the snakes uncurl. Here's the revelation, the part you should've known. A person's real character is when their anger's shown. You got pressed, you got mad. And all that fake ass love you had turned to poison. Jealousy and spite, they hate cause you that bitch and shining too bright. You ain't no friend, you just a hater in disguise. Walk past, head high, don't look them in the eyes. So here's the diss, you lost, you're done. Your fake support is over, your little game is run. You pop yourself, bitch, we ain't have to do a thing. Just sat back and watch you pull your own damn string. You been popped, you can't infiltrate this. Your mask is on the floor, go pick up your shit. We out, we out. You kid, yeah, yeah.
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I'm back with another live, y'all. I told you we would be back this evening. And I got my girl Imani with me. She has returned. Yes, yes, yes. So we're gonna be covering this live together, y'all. So it's about 4:15 p.m. here Eastern time in the United States and the Carolinas. And it is still very nice outside. The sun is going down, so it's a nice little breeze out there. It's feeling pretty good. Imani, you can come on up to the stage, girl. How are you doing? How's your day been? What you been up to?
My day's been good. Hi. Yeah, it's quiet. It's been quiet. The weather is a bit overcast still. But no, I've had a good day, doing a few house chores, doing a few other things that are work related. And yeah, it's been a good day. So, what have you been up to?
Girl, not too
Well,
much, not too much.
well, let's save it for a little bit of the housekeeping.
Yeah, we can do
I
that. So,
yeah.
it's been a good day. We did some political coverage earlier. I know you was over there moderating and stuff while you was working at the same time. But yeah, same old girl. I was going to take JJ to the pool, but they're doing some maintenance on it because they're just opening it up for the summer. So it's closed today. So I think tomorrow when it opens up, I'm gonna take him over there because he's ready to swim, y'all. He's ready to swim. But that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, it's 9:15 here. It will be better. It will be better when I'm closer to your time zone because then we can get this stuff up and out of the way, and then move on to doing other stuff outside. So hopefully, in a couple of months, there'll only be an hour time difference between us. But yeah, on to the housekeeping. And this is going to be very short
Yeah,
because I happened to spot that you paid a visit to a panel. Now, if anybody saw what we were talking about on Saturday, when we talked about strategies when people make these missteps and what they do to try and correct, they did exactly as predicted. I mean, you went over Thank you, Nick, for playing the video. But you and Snoopy Doop Doop have not beat those charges. I mean, Inspector Snoops, she's the receipt collector. She is the keeper of the sacred screenshots. And then we have Nick Maga Mountain Goat, the Outback Echo Chamber. They brought three people of color to co-sign that BS video. It was hilarious to me. What was the hilarious is exactly what was predicted. They blamed Vampy for it. It's now become Vampy's video because she created a song that was based on a Jamaican folklore for an American man in North Carolina. Now, I'm not going to go into it anymore because you cannot make sense out of nonsense. And all I will say is you guys have not beat the charges, but we're not going to waste time on it today because we're going to talk about this art of dialogue stuff. But I mean, what have you got to say? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'll only say two things. It was the caucasity for me and the fact that they brought the black people onto the panel to crack explain their racist video. Make it make sense. Yeah, the black people came on there to co-sign and crack explain the video that was racist that Nick made. So that was what I found hilarious, and it was what we predicted they would do. And I'm saying nothing more on this because we got stuff to do. But what do you think? Just let's keep it short and brief and get on to the art of dialogue. What do you think?
I thought that was hilarious. How you just explained it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I did take a visit. Took a visit. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting to bear witness to. And typically when those type of things happen, I mean, it's just people will literally prove everything that you say right based off of their actions. And so all you have to do is just sit back and listen. Um, and they do the work for you. There's nothing more really that you can say about it. They do the work for you. I know a lot of things was like we talked about it, and you were just like, nah, the stuff they were saying and all of that. We can dig into that. We can touch on that a little bit. Insults are always gonna fly when people are popped. That was like one of the lyrics that was in the song that I just played. People really show their true colors, right? When they get angry. And so, when they cannot manipulate you, when they cannot get the response that they're trying to get out of you, when they can't really shake you or move you, they start to get upset because their plan that they had is not working. And then the temper tantrums come, the insults come, they double down on basically everything it is that we've been calling out and witnessing from them all along. So I just say, look, y'all do the work for us. We just sit back and watch and listen and take notes. That's about it. But yeah, as far as housekeeping, girl, I think that's about it. I don't really got too much more to say about it. I do think it's distasteful and it's disheartening to watch our own people like really get up there and cheerlead for the mess. But I mean, it's nothing new.
Well, there was tap dancing temper calling you a sketel, which is a prostitute, which I didn't appreciate. And there
Yeah,
was Nick calling you an effing bitch because when they have nothing to say, that's all they can do is throw insults. You're showing your lack of intelligence, your lack of vocabulary, and your lack of being able to explain or crack explain that crap that you put out there. And that's all I've got to say. There were certain things I didn't appreciate, and calling someone a sketel. Yeah. When did Golden say she charges? When did she say she was a loose woman? You're a joke. Tap dance for them. Tap dance for them, Tempo. You were tap dancing really well. I thought it was amazing that they had Coonery Corner just trying to explain their BS and their missteps and offload the crap
Child, and I was
and
watching.
give them a pass on doing BS. But we're not going to labour the point. But there was, like I said, there were certain things, but, you can't trick us out of our position. It stands. It's offensive. And it's
Very.
not going to change however many people you try and drag into it and hide behind. It's not going to change. Okay.
I
It's
spoke to several of my family members on the phone, right?
mm,
After that live, and I showed them, I told them, I was like, yo, go watch this video, right? And yeah, they from Jersey, they from up north, whatever, but they black, whatever. And this is sometimes it's like, all right, I know I'm in it, I'm on YouTube and stuff. Maybe, just maybe I'm not seeing this correctly. Maybe I'm not, what I'm saying, perceiving this correctly. These are people that are not on YouTube. These are people that, they just live regular everyday lives, professionals and stuff. And I say, yo, what do you see when you watch this video? Like, as a black person, what do you see in this video and how does it make you feel? I promise you, each and every single one of them, they said, yeah, this is mad racist. Who made this? I said, an Australian woman on YouTube. And they was like, yeah, that's mad disrespectful. Like, who did they make this about? And I said, well, another content creator on YouTube, a black guy. And they said, well, yeah, that's definitely racist. Men and women, all mature ages, all professionals, all get it. Okay. And that is the other thing about, I think also when it comes to different generations and ages, right? I talked to some of my younger cousins, agreed. I talked to my aunts and my uncles that are, about what, in their 60s or so, agreed. I talked to some of my friends within my same age range, and I'm 36 now, agreed. So I'm just like, on all levels here, people are really seeing the video and that imagery for what it is. It's racist, it's distasteful, it's disrespectful. And it doesn't matter who that black man in that video could have been. We know what content creator it was, and we know exactly why it was made towards that content creator, because everybody that's over there, within that camp and that community, they all have a disdain and a hate. Like, I'm telling you, a hate. And hate is a strong word, but they have a disdain and a hate for that particular content creator. And if your hate runs so
but
deep, turn
Golden,
to race, that's
Golden,
crazy.
this was the biggest piece of caucasity for me. They
Mm.
actually had the nerve to compare it to a Trevor Green video. The
Mm.
nerve, the
Definitely,
nerve to compare that to Trevor Green's work.
definitely heard that. And
That's
Asher,
like
thank
comparing Vanilla Ice to Tupac. All right?
mm, mm.
Nerve, the nerve of it.
I'm putting up some of the comments from Asher because Asher knows, Asher has seen. Yeah. So basically, are they still showing that AI video? Yeah. Nick was showing that on her channel. She doubled down on it. It first was shown on Vampy's channel, I believe, 3 days in a row. But Vampy hides her lives after she's done with them, so you can't see. So Nick decided she was going to double down. And so when I was looking, I was like, are they really going to play this video again? That was
No,
it.
but she made sure she had three people of color on that panel when she was showing it. That's why I tell you they hide behind black people to say, yes, that is great. And you had Temper tap dancing for them. You had Vampy questioning her art because she's now responsible for the fact that Nick compared the content creator to Sasquatch. And then you had QQ. I don't know what she was talking about, but I don't really care. But you were being used so that they could outsource the conflict and hide behind you because they're saying they're black and they think it's great. Well,
Do you
I don't
feel
know
like,
what
honey, real
diversity you understand about it. You think it's great, you're being used. But we're not going to labour this because we have spent too much time and we have got stuff to get on with. So
quick,
you finish up your point. I've actually closed for the day on this. You finish up what you were saying.
I will, but I want to ask you if you want to answer a question, if you want to address a comment. I'm going to put it on the screen. Would you like to address this comment?
What's the comment?
You don't see it on the screen?
Uh, there needs to be a White History Month. Oh gosh, you know what? No, that's just a troll. You know what they can do. They can. I tell you what. I'm not even responding to it because that's what I mean about these trolls. Go. You have one every day of the year and it's shoved down our throat. But I mean, this is what they want. They want to cause division. There are white people that find that video very offensive, okay, because they are actually enlightened in this,
Right.
and they don't select the people they decide to target and call racist. They have a blanket. This is wrong. This is right, and they stand 10 toes down in it. This is not
Yeah.
about division. This is about you understanding that what you did was offensive, and the only thing you had to do was apologize, take it down, and become enlightened and get informed about what you needed to do and what was wrong with it. But the thing is, Nick, you knew what was wrong with it because you put Sasquatch in there. And I don't know where that came into the farmland that you were talking about. You did it intentionally and you knew you would send in subliminals, but you thought we wouldn't pick up. But you carry on, keep showing it. Don't worry, you're going to be famous. But anyway, I don't want to labour it, and I'm not answering that stupid question from the stupid troll.
I knew
But
there would be a there.
let's
Let's
just keep it moving. Let's get. Are we finished with this? Because they haven't beat the charges. It doesn't matter how many things they want to say, how many black people they want to put on a round table. Yeah, keep doing it. Keep tap dancing. Get anybody in there that you want to. Yeah. Why don't you call Dr. Umar? Hmm? Ask him. Ask him. Call DL Hughley. Call anybody. There's a number of people you can call actually who will probably explain to you what's that. And if you're from the UK, call what's his name? The poet. Oh, is it Ayala? Yeah. Call him. There's a number of people that you can call. Let them sit down and you explain that. They haven't explained frame by frame why they used all that imagery, but I don't really care about it. So let them run with it. Run with it. It's good. I love it.
moving right
Anyway,
along.
yeah. So we're going
So
to move right along, and you're going to introduce what we're going to talk about in the art of dialogue because we've got two great interviews. We're going to do some little breakdown and commentary on.
yes, absolutely. So moving right along with the content, y'all. That was just a quick little bit of housekeeping. It has to be done. But we got it. So we cleaned that up. So yes, we will be breaking down the wild new art of dialogue interviews. First, West Coast hip hop royalty Yo Yo drops legendary 90 gems, including behind the scenes drama on the set of Martin, why she and Tupac really broke up, and the original version of Dear Mama. She also speaks on losing a major movie role due to pregnancy and the haunting audition that she lost to Lauren Hill when it comes to Sister Act. She also will speak a little bit about her time in Boys of the Hood movie and how Ice Cube signed her and helped write her hit record. We also will be listening to some conversation at Art of Dialogue with Dr. Umar and how he's standing 10 toes down on the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic and sends a message to modern comedians about the distasteful George Floyd joke that happened during Kevin Hart's roast. So, y'all, join us, go for this ride with us. You can drop your thoughts in the chat And if you don't mind, if you can hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. If you like it over here, you are more than welcome to stack all of the things, right? But let's go ahead and get into section one, the legendary yo-yo. So the first topic we'll dig into, and we'll hear it directly from her mouth, is the lost movie roles, pregnancy, and the Tupac rumors. So Yo-Yo opens up about a devastating moment in her career where she lost a major movie role simply because she became pregnant. Beyond losing the opportunity, she recalls the intense anxiety she felt over public perception, deeply worrying that the media and fans would immediately spin a false narrative claiming that the baby she was pregnant with belonged to Tupac. So we have that part of the conversation here. Let's go ahead and get into that first, and we will commentate on it as we go and meet y'all in the chat per usual. So let me get this pulled up real quick and we'll get right into it. Hold
Right.
on.
How long is this one?
This one is not too long. This one is actually, let's see, just 10 minutes. So we probably can just play it all the way to the end and then talk.
Yeah, yeah, 10 minutes. That's fine. Which one is this? The Tupac Early Connection one?
This is the one about her movie role that she
Oh,
lost.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and get this up real quick here. Give me just a sec, y'all. Okay, here we go.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite shows ever. And New York Undercover, that's one of my favorite shows too. You was in an episode of New York Undercover, right?
New York Undercover. And that was so much fun. That was so much fun. I mean, just the whole working with that whole team was dope. That East Coast flavor, that East Coast shooting, that was really dope. That was really dope. I mean, I think every opportunity that I had, I got a chance to really do something um, outside of myself. And when I watch that, it's hard to watch yourself play back what you've done on television because you're looking at yourself like, wait a minute, now, what am I doing? Like, what am I really doing? Like, oh God, they like, oh, yo, you came in here, you shot his ass. She was like, ah, and I was looking at myself like, but I'm waiting on my opportunity so I can do more because I think I've going to Lee Strasberg has taught me how to digest, not just learn the lines, but take the lines outside and really, play with them and live in them. So look out for what's coming.
But them New York rappers, man, it seemed like they was rocking with you heavy back then. Because I mean, when that episode came out, I want to say that definitely was in '95. So that's when the whole East and West thing was going on, and yeah, they was rocking with you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But you know what? The first time we went to New York and when they had the East Coast and West Coast beef, I'm not sure if the beef was with NWA or the beef was, or just West Coast, period. Because, I didn't really hang with NWA. The NWA wasn't, when Cube found me, I never really got a chance to kick it with NWA. I've seen Easy E, back in those days, but I really wasn't, we weren't like, I knew him like that. I didn't know him like that. I didn't know Dr. Dre like that. I've seen Dr. Dre back when we used to go to the clubs, and he was with, what was the name of that crew? What was the name of the crew Dr. Dre and them was in back in the days? The World Wrecking Crew?
Yeah, the World Class Wrecking Crew.
World Class Wrecking Crew. Yeah, and he was with another group that they would do, and they would have we would have parties, they would have parties. We were young, but we would get into the parties. It was like the Palladiums. You would go there, it'd be jam-packed with 1,000 people back to back, where the DJ just played, with the New York set was downtown LA. But so when we went to New York, we had this show at the Apollo, and it was one show, and we were nervous. I mean, I don't know if Ice Cube was nervous. I can't speak for him, but the tension was there. Like, oh God, we're going to New York, you know, we're going to put this big show. And for me, it was my first time performing for New York. You know, like people had heard our stuff for me being on Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted album where, you know, wait, who you calling? First of all, let me tell you, my name is Yo-Yo. I'm down in the girl first fist, and that's a no-no. Yo-Yo thinks the kitchen sink should be thrown in. Niggas be scheming and fiending and stick they bone in. No, Yo-Yo's not a hoe or a whore. And if that's what you here for, exit through the door, there's more. To see of me, but you're blind. So women like me are fake. Because in the 9-0. And so he was like, wait. How you gonna do this with your county check, baby? First, you know, so it was that whole setup, that the way Ice Cube and Jinx produced that gave this real big image. So us going to Apollo to perform it, I was just nervous because even though they didn't talk about the tension, I felt the tension. You know what I mean? Nobody really told me like it's a beef going on. And, you know, it was just like, watch out, y'all stick together. Don't do this, don't do that. We all had rules. It was like, you know, this is what it is. Like here, okay? So we get there, we got this show, and it was Cube. I know he realized people love him. East Coast loved him. They started throwing money. Listen, we wind up doing 2 shows that night. I promise you, one of the biggest shows ever in my life. Now, we've done arenas, 20,000 seaters. We've done arenas and sold them out. But this small packed Apollo, from top to bottom, I mean, they were throwing money on stage. It was my first time performing. They was just throwing money from the balcony. Just money was just dropping on the floor, just dropping. They was throwing it on the stage. At first, I thought they was throwing shit at us. I'm like, are they throwing something at us? And then I look down, I'm like, is that money? You know, and I'm rapping, and Cube is just, you know, he got this baseball bat in his hand, and I'm like, that's money. I'm like, do I pick it up and leave it down? And like, you know, like, okay. You know, and we did 2 shows like that, back to back. And I mean, you are absolutely right. East Coast shows me so much love, and I love the East Coast too. I mean, I'm cosmopolitan. Everywhere I go, I get mad love, mad respect, but I give it at the same time. I can't go to a shoe store in New York and buy sneakers or buy tennis shoes, as we call them. But if I'm on the East Coast, buy some sneakers, as they would say, they'd be like, yo, man, your money no good, man. You don't put your money up. So yeah, I mean, you know, LA girls, they knew we were from LA, and they would say it. You from LA, huh? Or if my girlfriends was with me, you know, I'm from LA, huh? And they could just tell we was from LA. We brought some sunshine to New York. And we loved it over there too, let's be clear. All that you know, they had a little Puerto Rican in them. They be mommy. I'm just stupid like my mother, I know. Don't laugh at me.
What were some roles that you auditioned for that you wish you would have got?
I wish I would have got Set It Off. You know, I mean, I really wanted that. I really wanted to be a part of that. I just wasn't prepared. I really wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared at all. You know, I didn't have the training. Another one, Panthers. You know, Panthers. I auditioned for Panthers. What's his name? Van Peebles. He and his dad hired me for that gig, and that was 93, the end of 93, and I hadn't told the world I was pregnant. And I realized I was pregnant after I got the part, and I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. And I just had so much stress on me. I was like, dag, I got to tell Cube. And, you know, I just thought like, oh, what am I going to do? Do I tell I got the lead role of Panthers. How do I tell him? Do I not tell him? Like, when are we taping? Let me, like, it was so much anxiety. I was like, oh, when are we taping? Maybe I could, but I was like, dag, I'm with the IBWC. I told all these women, these young girls, put a lid on it. Don't be no fool. Like, I'm not married. Like, nobody knows who, my kid's father is. I don't even know if I'm dating. what if they think it's Tupac's baby? Like, I'm not even dating him. And, nobody knew my business. All they knew was what they knew. I was like, what am I going to do? How do I tell my dad? How do I tell my mom? I'm 23 years old, pregnant.
All right, I think that's a perfect stopping point for us to make some commentary on. First and foremost, I love me some Yo Yo. Okay, she is so dope. She is so cool, down to earth. She keeps it real, and she's beautiful. She's aged so gracefully. Like she really, you know what they say, child. We age like fine wine. We really, really do. But just right there within that statement, her talking about this experience as far as being, a young girl and pregnant and trying to, pursue her career and how it used to be back in, those days, like the 80s and the 90s and stuff, they were really hard on you. Like, that perception when it comes to being pregnant or having a child, right? Especially when you're young, they're very hard on women when it comes to that. And you could just hear in her voice and even an expression in her face when she's, reflecting back on this story, like she had a lot of anxiety, she said. And it wasn't just the fact that it's like, what are they going to think as far as like on set? How am I going to do this? You know what I mean? Like physically on set being pregnant, but also like the perception of society and the people. Like, and, she was saying basically, there's a lot of things, that she used to preach and tell the younger girls, in the neighborhood, in the community and stuff like that, as far as the safety, that they need to keep. And then she gets pregnant. She's like, oh God, what are they going to think about? I'm saying all of this, but now I'm pregnant. And also previously she dated Tupac. So if people going to think, oh, is she pregnant with Tupac baby? All that kind of stuff. And we see a lot of celebrities are still going through this now, like when they get pregnant, that's the first thing that people be trying to figure out. Whose baby is it? You know what I mean? Especially if they've been known to be in a relationship with someone, you kind of automatically tie that person to them when they get pregnant. But what do you think about this, Imani? With this segment that we're listening to and what she said, so far. What do you think about Yo Yo?
Yeah, I mean, I love her kind of self reflection. Yeah, she has aged really well. And, she also talks a lot, being from the West Coast, about the East Coast flavor. And um, funny thing, she makes a remark about not being able to watch herself. It's really like, um, I don't know if some people get this if they do, presentations or even if they do live. It's really hard to listen to yourself because when you're listening to yourself, you don't think you sound like yourself. So I love the fact that she is so uh, um, reflective. And she also took, I didn't realize she was trained by Lee Strasberg as well. And she gives him a lot of credit for helping her to live in the characters rather than just learn lines. And also talking about the height of the East Coast West Coast beef, which was in the mid 90s, and talking about how there was a lot of East Coast West Coast tension there, but she got mad love from the East Coast. And so that was nice that even within that she was able to, forge a relationship with the East Coast artist. And then we're, getting that part and getting pregnant and the tension and the stress of being pregnant. And, people don't realize back in those days, people didn't really want to invest in women because this is not only in the arts industry, it was in the corporate space because they felt that women were going to get pregnant and it wasn't worth investing in them long term. So a lot of women used to hide pregnancies, and it was a stigma. Can you believe it? It was a stigma to be pregnant at that time, as well as the other stuff that was attached to her for having dated Tupac. But
Right.
basically, It was a big stigma, and people don't realize how much, how far we've come, because
Yeah.
people would actually gauge your career on the fact that if you were single when you started, you were eventually going to leave and get married and have
And get,
babies.
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So they didn't want to put too much investment in women at that time. But yeah, I thought it was good, that first half. So yeah, I
And
liked
that's the
it.
it really ties into it, shows us, like, when it comes to women's rights, how important they are, and why, a lot of people did march for them and fight for them, because these are a lot of the reasons why a lot of this happened. Like, you're not getting business opportunities and job opportunities. No one wants to invest in a woman, because a woman could get married, settle down, have babies, get pregnant, and what is that going to do? Take time away, take the sex appeal away, because now you're pregnant, your body don't look the same, it may not look the same afterwards. Are you going to have the stamina to get up on stage and perform and travel and tour and do all of those things? So it's a lot of artists that have spoken about those experiences, that they've had, especially back in the 90s and prior. And look at where we are now. We got Lotto, we got Cardi B, we had Beyonce, Tiana Taylor, like so many artists that we've seen that have proven, like, yeah, I'm pregnant, but I'm not dead. You know what I mean? Like, you can still get up there and dance around and drop it low and do all of the things. Like, being pregnant is not like a death sentence or like a sickness or something, so where you're not capable. And a lot of people, they love that, because it's more, what's the words I'm looking for? Relatable, right? It's cute. A lot of people see, like Cardi B with her big belly up on stage, with her cute outfits on and still dancing and performing, and then bring the child into the world. Oh, Sierra too has done it. And then you know what? Like 3, 4 weeks later, right back out there, right back snatched, right back on stage. And we know celebrities can get a bit snatched a little bit easier than the rest of us can, but it just goes to show how powerful women are and how far we come. But let's keep going and hear some more of what Yo Yo has to say. I think she's going to follow up with some of her experiences with this as well. And then we'll move on to her other conversation she has.
I just got the lead role. And I'm like, flick it. I'm gonna tell him. And I went to him and I told him, they said, my insurance won't carry that. My insurance won't carry that. I was like, so what does that mean? I'm sorry. I had to strip you from the part. I was like, dag. Melvin from the Temptations helped me with my character too. God rest his soul. Yeah, that's my kids, my daughter's godfather. I would go over there because his wife was my best friend, and we would run my lines, and I'm talking about I was in it. She had a part where she got shot. I was all down. I mean, I was into this role. I felt like, oh, I got it. I finally got it, and I'm pregnant.
Was that an issue for you back then? Where you wanted a family, you wanted a baby, but you didn't know how Cube or your label will react?
Yeah, that was just, yeah, it was taboo. It was just taboo. You know what I mean? It was just like, for women, you wasn't taking care of business if you like, how can you be an artist and and I'm investing in you. I mean, and it was nothing like somebody putting pressure on you. You had the pressure on yourself. You got these companies investing in you. I don't want to be, you get pregnant, like, damn. That's why they don't want to work with women already. That's why they don't want to put us out. That's why they don't want to get money behind us. That's why, that's what we were thinking, that's why. So it was almost like the pressure, we were putting the pressure on ourselves, like, so just imagine how many had abortions.
All right. Well, goodness, that was a deep ending statement, but truthful, truthful. And I'm pretty sure she bear witness to a lot of that happening during that time. The pressures that women can be put under, uh, for multiple reasons, and the hard choices sometimes that they have to make. So yeah, I thought that was a wonderful segment of her being so open and so vulnerable, so honest, about not just her experience, but the experience of many women, when it comes to being in these industries and stuff. So, did you have any more thoughts about that section right there, Imani, before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, just to
Have you
say
experienced
that,
anything like that yourself, like personally? Have you experienced that?
no, I haven't experienced that personally, but I do know of people that have in the
Mm,
workplace where they've uh, being pregnant, and people, when they have their appointments, their boss is very irritated, and a lot of people I know have sued firms because of that. But what I really wanted to say was the reason why she lost the part in Panthers, and then obviously she discovered she was pregnant. Um, Not only was she terrified to tell the studio, um, basically she was removed from the film because the insurance wouldn't cover her pregnancy.
mm,
Imagine that.
imagine.
The
Yeah,
insurance wouldn't cover her pregnancy. And that's what happened to a lot of female artists and a lot of people in corporate spaces and other jobs, because they felt pressure to either hide or terminate them because of the professional challenges that they faced in the workplace. And
yeah,
they were often punished for wanting families. I mean,
yeah,
it was a great segment. Like you said, it was nostalgic because she was talking about the East Coast, West Coast, hip hop in the 90s, her vulnerability. And she really showed that she was, she's not only an artist, but she was a woman navigating an industry that demanded quite a lot and didn't give a lot back to women. And that's not the only industry. But I thought it was a great segment. But the highlighting that she had to lose a part because she couldn't get insured being pregnant. Make that
right.
resonate with you and see how far we've come and how people are trying to take us back.
Exactly. That's what we keep talking about every day. Like they're trying to take us back. And this is the thing. Like a lot of people, it's just like I don't know if they just hear this stuff in passing, and maybe they think as though it's not as serious as it is because maybe they did not live those experiences. I'm pretty sure the younger generation, that's a fact, right? They weren't living those experiences. They're very privileged to the way we live right now, and all of the things that we're afforded right now. But our ancestors and even people like Yo-Yo, like not even that much older, but lived during a time where, yeah, a lot of these things were not afforded to you. These privileges and the freedoms that women and people in general have right now. Others did not have that. They had to fight and struggle through a lot of difference. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting to hear from her. And now we're gonna get into the second topic she's gonna be talking about. And she's gonna be speaking about, and this one is I love because it's nostalgic, like you said, because Martin is one of my favorite shows. And I love me some Shanae and Kilolo and all of that. Like so nostalgic. But yeah, so Yo-Yo gonna take us behind the scenes of the Martin sitcom set where she would currently play Shanae's best friend, Kilolo. And at first I didn't even know that was Yo-Yo. Like back then when I first started watching Martin, I didn't know. But anyway, she reveals a hilarious but intense moment where Martin Lawrence got genuinely angry at the crew on set, but stayed completely in character. He was screaming and going off on people while wearing a full wig, dress, and makeup like Shanae. But she speaks about also his genius, right? And how before his time he really was. But yeah, Martin did have some. Well, he had a lot of pressure on him as well, because that was his show, and he had to make sure it was perfect. And I'm pretty sure, as us, black people, black men, women, whichever, we got to work 10 times as hard. So I'm pretty sure he did have a lot of pressure on him, and he wanted excellence. He really wanted excellence, and not just for himself, but for everyone, that was on the show, behind the curtain, in front of the curtain. Um, he wanted those opportunities for black people to have, right? And really shine and show their greatness and their talent. And so yeah, it was a lot of pressure. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this next part right here, and she'll tell us a little bit about that, y'all. So we'll be right back.
Kilolo, I gotta ask you about that hilarious character. Now, how did that come about? You getting that role in Martin?
I'm a lucky girl, huh? I'm just just call me lucky. I'm lucky. I'm just a lucky girl. Wait, okay, so Cube had Martin doing some interludes on my album. Was it my album, his album? I think it was my album. It was somebody's album. And Martin, we were in the studio, Echo Sounds. Shout out to Echo Sounds. We were at Echo Sounds, and Martin said, "Yo, I'm doing this show for Warner Brothers, and and I have a character, and the character name is Shanae." He said, "And I want you to be. I'm going to make you Shanae's best friend, and I'm going to call you Kilolo." And I said, "Okay, you know." Never knew the character, never seen the character, just conversation in the studio. I mean, maybe a year later, or I don't know if it was a year, maybe 9 months, something like that later, I get a call from William Morris saying that I have an audition. I mean, that they Warner Brothers wants to see me. They sent me over some sides, and I'm studying the sides. I'm like, shit, I gotta get this. Damn, I gotta get this part. So I'm in there and I'm I'm reading the lines, like, all of this and all that's all I'm seeing. And I'm like, huh? And this is at the time where people were, ragging on Shaq because they had him in the skirt. It was like, they trying to make our black men women. And, this was a time where light-skinned women were going against dark-skinned women. And we were at this Tashik, what's that movie they made where, the college movies where it was just like, it was just too much division. We were in that space at that time. So I was like, is this almost like blackface to my homegirls or, women from the hood? Like, am I mocking them? So I didn't really know how to take it in the beginning of all of that. And so, but I went in there because, every time I tried to present myself, I was trying to come out of the South Central style. Everybody, I didn't want them to, we already had stereotype from the rapping. And I just thought that I was adding to that stereotype. So I really was shy. I would do my part, never really talked about it. I would do what they need me to do. And we film like maybe 5 shows a day. I mean, I was there while they was filming. They would film like 3, and then I would do another. So they were filming their butts off for this Martin show. Yeah, and I became a recurring character, and paid me well. Still paid me my royalties to this day. The kids who don't know Yo-Yo definitely know Kilolo. So that was like kudos to Martin Lawrence. Let me tell you my favorite way. I got a couple ways, but I'm only going to tell you 2. One is the boy, the snotty nose boy. Listen, first of all, Martin never went on script. He would always ad lib. I'm telling you, when I tell you this dude is a genius, I hate that it went away the way it did, because Martin, I'm talking about, he would get deep into character. When we would run lines, I would just be so captivated by him. They'd be like, "Oh, yo, line." I'm like, "Oh shit." I'm like, I'm watching the show. And the other time was when he just was done with it, when he had his meltdown. He was just like, you know what? I'm done. He was like, he had them Shanae nails on. I mean, yeah, Shanae nails on. And we didn't, in LA, we didn't call those things fanny packs. I don't know what we call them, but it's like, where's her fanny pack? He had the nails on, dressed in Shanae. He had the Shanae braids on, the lipstick. He had the stockings with the overalls. He had the fake breasts on it. He was standing there. He was like, don't nobody know where Shanae fanny pack is. And I'm thinking he's just joking. Over there cracking up, over there dying laughing. He's like, don't know, and everybody moving around looking. He's like, don't nobody know where Shanae fanny pack is. And I'm dying laughing. He was dead serious. He threw his script up in the air and walked off the set. I was like, oh, wait. It's still one of the funniest moments I ever seen. But he was hilarious, strictly business. Love him to this day. Love him to this day. A man of his word.
When he did that midget character, he was on his knees, right? His knees was inside the shoes.
And his knee on his knees with that snot running out his nose, and he'd be like, just stupid, just stupid, just stupid, just stupid. You hear me? Just stupid. And I'm talking about, you'd have to be there. Listen, it was a live audience, taped in front of a live audience. When I tell you, this man is just, I mean, just to think about it, you'd have to know. And he just wouldn't stop. I mean, he just would not get out of character. He would not break character. You know, he was just hilarious the way but he was so involved. He was so involved. Martin was so involved in the production. You know, it was good to be around. It was good energy. It was a good place to start understanding how somebody really captured the art of what they were portraying.
So he would change from character to character when y'all was on set.
Yeah, they had his costume department. They had it all. I mean, you know, they had the sticky nails. You know, you used to have to press on nails. And the press on nails was the funniest part because you really, if you touch anything with the press on nails, you know, they come off. So everything was like this, even when you was eating at the snack table. He was at the snack table. It was like this. And he didn't break. And so, you know what? And I didn't really know the Baltimore's bought the DMV kind of accent. You know what I mean? So even though I thought that was like a South Central accent or just a ghetto accent, it's really Baltimore's accent. You know, because it's really. But see, I didn't really know the accent of Baltimore, so you know, it just made it so much more funny. You know, because it wasn't until we went to Texas that I knew when people were saying, "I'm scared." And you're like, "What? You're what? I'm scared." You're like, "You're what?" It's like, "I'm scared." You're like, "You're what?" Oh, you're scared? Like, what the hell are you saying? Same thing with Baltimore. You know, $4 for those fries. You're like, what? They want $4 for those fries. You're like, they want what? They want $5 for those fries? So, you know, it's just so, you know, the more I got into the accents and toured around the world, it's even funnier.
Yo, I had no idea that y'all was shooting in front of a live audience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. We had an audience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had an audience. Yep, they had an audience out there. Everybody had their own thing. I mean, we were on set for like, I would say 12 hours. I know I was probably on set for 12. They probably was on set even more. It was really just a fun, friendly environment. I mean, you know, Tashina, they had their things, you know, that they did. They would, you know, have all these, you know, they would color. They had all these like 100 markers, and they would do all their painting. Me, I'm just walking around. I'm at the snack table. I don't have a hobby yet. I didn't know that, you know, there was a culture to filming this long. You know, I was in there trying to learn my lines, making sure that I wasn't messing up, so they didn't have to say cut on me. But so it was really a chill environment. Martin brought so many of his friends. I mean, there was a lot of friends who came on set. And for me, it was like being in a museum of the arts because I had been told no so much from auditioning to finally be in the setting of a film set or a TV set for so many days and so many hours. It was the school I needed. So for me, I was just in the museum of the Martin Show.
All right, so I'm gonna pause it right there so we can do a quick commentary break. But yeah, so Imani, you watch Martin, right?
Yep, and I
Oh,
still do if I can.
exactly. And I think it's me and Carlos be watching it at nights and stuff, or not we be kicking and chilling. We be watching Martin cracking up, y'all. Like we be rolling. It's like it's timeless. It never gets old. Martin is a genius. He really is. And you hear her even saying that, someone who worked with him on the set. And we've heard Tashina say it. We've heard Tisha say it. Anybody and everybody who's ever worked or been around Martin, like they all say the same thing. That show is just phenomenal, and I do hate that it ended the way that it did because it could have kept going for longer and longer and longer. But yeah, that was really interesting. To hear her say that he would just stay like in character like that because he's just so like dedicated to his roles, and I think that we all see that about him. Whether it's from that show or any movies and stuff that he's in, and whatever it is that he does, he's really dedicated to the role. I thought that was a cute little tidbits that she given us from when she worked on the show. And she said that she was like really nervous, like she would just do her role and then kind of just, read her part and then be quiet and then just, sit off and observe everything. That's kind of dope. That's really nice. I would have liked to be on that set, like whether I'm in the audience or anything. I don't care. I just would like to have been around. That's amazing. But a lot of people, I guess, they also didn't know that they a lot of those shows back in that time in the 90s and stuff, they were filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, to get the reaction. Um, they
Mhm.
get they got the immediate reaction to the episodes. I mean, they were. I mean, a lot of people talk about Martin and about the fact that he ad libs all the time, and
Mhm.
some people would have a script and lose their way, and that he is like a comedic genius, and they would
Yeah.
just sit back in awe but forget where they were in the script because he's gone off piece and he's doing what he wants to do. I mean, it was a great show. But the other thing that came up in that show, because she talks about the tensions around the representation of women and black culture. And, there was the light skin versus dark skin debate that we're still having to this day. I think, the criticism of black men in dresses and fears about, them reinforcing some certain stereotype, and
Yeah.
also that she was worried about them mocking women from her community. So
Right.
she was really thoughtful about the stuff that happened on that set. And yeah,
Mhm.
it really was a shame how it ended because it's one of those things. If you haven't watched it, you should go and watch it because if you really want a belly laugh, it is a great show. And he is a comedic genius.
Yeah.
And it was magical, it was crazy, but it was brilliant because of Martin. It was really brilliant because of Martin. And it's one of the most iconic sitcoms of the 90s, without a shadow of a doubt.
And I think, yeah, I agree because you brought some excellent points that she was speaking on. The fact that she was just like, am I kind of like mocking the people or the women from my community or from our communities and our cultures? Like I don't know really how to feel about this, but she did it. I thought that was excellent for her to bring up because, there are a lot of stereotypes. However, what I will say is I do think what made the show so great, and this is big part to Martin, is being embedded in the culture, in the community, and around so many different people, right? Within our culture and our community, to where he's around and spends time with them so much that he can write in a script. He can get it down all the way to the costume and the image and the mannerisms. And I don't think that's, mocking in a sense. I think, to me, honestly, it's paying homage, because in a general, probably, show, or in the cinema industry, they probably would look down on someone, that may have the long fingernails and the braids in their hair and wearing the colorful outfits and speaking a certain type of way, and working in the nail salon or whatever like that. That those are beautiful things that come with our culture and our people that we love, right? Despite if we living, in neighborhoods that we may call them like hoods or ghettos or whatever like that, projects. That is our culture. Those are things that some of us really love, and we'll never take anything away from that. Like growing up, and I'll talk about this with Carlos as well. Like sometimes you grow up in the hood, the ghetto, the projects and stuff like that. You may say like, I don't want to be in this type of environment forever. However, once you get out, it's just like you appreciate it more, because it really is what makes you who you are. It gives you that essence of who you are, and you learn a lot. And it's unfortunate sometimes you do got to grow up fast. You do have to, learn how to navigate certain things that may be dangerous, or you know what I'm saying, just like not favorable. But it makes you have a tough skin, and it really makes you be able to navigate life and problems in this world in an entirely different way. And so, like, there's always that silver lining. There's always beauty in anything. And I think that, and then I do see a lot of people, but I think that more people should be, not ashamed of where you come from and where you grew up or whatever like that, because it makes you who you are. It's the essence of who you are, your personality, how you know how to, think, deal with, hard times and things like that. You're equipped and prepared sometimes because of those experiences. Yeah, they might not have been that great, but there's beauty in it. So I love that she said that. And then again, also like you brought up as well, the stigma that there is as far as, black men in wigs and dresses and things of that nature. But I think when it comes to like the Martin show and stuff like that, and then we seen, the Jamie Foxx show, and well, really, I think it started with In Living Color, but I wouldn't say necessarily there was a push to put black men in wigs and dresses. When it came to comedy, a lot of these men that started that chain, at least from what I can speak on as far as like the 80s and the 90s, they wanted to do that. That was their choice, because what it was is they did spend a lot of time around, women in their life, black women in their life, whether it's their mothers, their aunties, their sisters, Miss Mabel down the block, you know what I'm saying? Or on the corner, whoever. They spent a lot of time in their communities and around their culture and their people. And so much so that, like I said, they can really capture it down to a science as far as their mannerisms, how they talk, how they act, how they dress. And, there's that debate on that. What do you think about that one particularly? Like with men and the dresses and the wigs and the makeup and stuff like that. And then
Oh, well, I
remember,
think it became part of the comedy in kind of the 80s and 90s. But I do think later on it became a push to have it. And we all know about the Dave Chappelle story that he
right,
refused and then he
right,
lost his big deal. So I
right,
think initially it was something that was done as as part of the comedy, but then it became, a prerequisite
mm,
later on for their
yeah,
own nefarious reasons. And
mm,
lo and behold, the more you do it, the more you get. Hey, look at Tyler Perry Studios. And I'm saying that's where I'll leave it on that
right,
one.
right. But let's keep going. We're gonna finish this video out, and then we'll get into the next topic with Yo Yo. And y'all, she's gonna be talking about her and Tupac's relationship on the next one. So we'll keep listening to the rest of this. But Martin, it's only about another 4 minutes or so, and we'll get into the next one.
You know a funny scene that she did? The core scene. That was hilarious, man.
He ad-libbed like crazy. That they put the car on one of these rockers. So the car's not really moving, but it gives you the motion that it's moving. And they got the cameras in there. So they just moving. So it's just like, and Martin is just so stupid because the part of and Sinead, and Key Lolo, that wasn't the part of the line. He just would add lines. I mean, when we did the famous talent show skit, I went in, he said, I told him I'd write it. You can't get royalties on it, but we'll pay you. If you write it, we'll pay you. And they paid me a nice fee to write write the rap for that outside of Key Lolo. And Martin and I went into the studio and we recorded it, and I had it different. And I had it a little different. I had the "Don't Nobody Know Me Like My Homies." You suckers that be all up on me. Yeah, I know you phony. And he changed it to "Don't Nobody Know Me Like My Homies." So I opened up that 40. And I say, and then he said, I said, "Don't be trying to trick if you ain't rich." He came in, "Sinead ain't no trick, you better have a career," So after we did it and he learned it, and to hear him come back with what he said was just even stupid. And then to perform it, because everything moves so fast. So you record it, they get the music, we go in there, we record it, then it's the taping. So, I wasn't that used to the turnaround that quick, so now it's time to go. And it's like, okay, come on. And so I got to learn not to crack up. I gotta learn to not crack up so much. But just that whole thing, all the way down to the flowers. It was just certain things they didn't tell me that was happening, or they just was like, "Okay, the flowers, bring the flowers." And Sinead, they jumping all in front of me like, holla, just the holla, but serious as hell. Hilarious. Some of my most memorable times was the Martin show.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite 90s shows. Love that show.
Oh my goodness. Listen, Martin would ad lib. I'm telling you, sometimes some of the best takes is when he was ad libbing, but they can't keep it because everybody would bust. He would just change. Yeah, they couldn't keep it because nobody kept their face. You know what I'm trying to say? Like nobody would keep you. They couldn't hold face. So a lot of the real good, funny stuff. You're seeing funny stuff. You're seeing great content, but the real funny stuff where he was just raw and naturally just stupid, couldn't keep it because nobody could keep a face. They were just, it was just too funny.
Okay, so that's the end of that one, y'all. So that was a nice little blast from the past. A lot of great nostalgia there with the Martin show. I love the Martin show. But yeah, and I used to even watch the episodes that did make it or whatnot, even on some of those episodes, because I watched it so much and I watched so closely. You can even see them laughing on the episodes that made it. Like you can see Pam be cracking up, Gina especially, or Tisha. They would be cracking up. All of them would be cracking up, and they would turn like their head to the side. Like you could tell they really were trying to hold back a laugh. Like I wouldn't have been able to do. I would have been on the floor done. They would have been like, "You're fired. Like we can't do nothing with you because it's hard. It's hard. I can only imagine how hard it was for them." But you got any final comments or thoughts on that, Imani, before we get to the next topic for Yo Yo?
No, I think I'm just gonna watch a few episodes of Martin this weekend.
Okay, guys, you want to make some now?
Yeah, yeah. It makes it the nostalgia. It makes you want to just go back and watch it again and again. You know, but she's great at telling the stories, though. Like you said, she's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And
I,
honestly, shout out also to Art of Dialogue. If y'all want to watch the whole, interview or whatnot, you really should because it's really good. This is just a few clips that we pulled out. But Art of Dialogue does some really great interviews over on this platform. I know most people are familiar with Art of Dialogue, but yeah, there's some really great conversations he had with Yo Yo. And then later on we're gonna be getting into the ones with Dr. Umar. But yeah, I love Art of Dialogue's interview style. He just be chopping it up like, it don't even seem like it come off like an interview. He just be having conversations with them and people you could tell they feel comfortable with them and they just be having really great conversations. But yeah, y'all should go over to the channel, check them out if you haven't, and like those videos, those clips, subscribe to the channel, show love and support because it's really dope. But let's go ahead, y'all. We're gonna get into the next topic. So let's talk about it. So this one is Yo-Yo's gonna be talking about the Tupac breakup and their mama secret. So I did not know that Yo-Yo dated Tupac. This is news to me. But Yo-Yo reflects on her romantic history with Tupac Shakur, noting that his chaotic lifestyle and rapid transition into the aggressive death row era ultimately forced them apart. She also reveals that she was originally featured on the legendary track Dear Mama. The original demo utilized her vocals in a rap verse, but due to industry politics and sample clearance hurdles with Ice Cube's camp, her parts were completely stripped because she was, working with and signed to, I believe, Ice Cube at the time. So you know how all of that stuff go to politics, the music politics. But let's go ahead and get into that video and hear a little bit about what went down there with her and Tupac and Ice Cube. Like I said, interesting because I had no idea they did it. No idea. But let's get into it, y'all. Let me go ahead and pull this up. All right. Here we go. Turn this up a bit. All right, there we are.
Speaking of Tupac, how did y'all meet?
We met on the road, but respectfully, we met on the road. Pac was just a great guy. I love the fact that he was he was a lyricist. He was funny. He had a story. And he was a loner. You could tell he had a lot of hurt in him, but he had a story to tell. And he was just dope. He was a dope conversationalist.
If I'm not mistaken, you two met on the road, right? When he was with Digital Underground?
I don't remember exactly how we met, but that's probably how I think we probably met when on the road. Yep, we met on the road. He was a roadie. He was a roadie, rapping his ass off, rapping, dancing, having fun, and was a lyricist. I mean, he could write. I fell in love with his lyrics. He could just pen, and he was different. Pac was different because he would rap about stuff that the guys that I was coming up with wasn't talking about. I mean, he had culture. He had, his who his parents were. You know what I mean? And he was militant. So it wasn't, he had this one line, where he say, Malcolm Martin wants you to turn the cheek, and Malcolm is like, so it was like I love that, he had a distinct style and sound, and he was a true artist. He was a guy who went to art school, performing art school, so he was really about it.
Yeah, I saw somewhere where you made a comment about how you used to beat him in rap battles.
Yep, many times. I mean, many times. But he was dope. I mean, he probably let me beat him, but I used to battle so much in high school that it was just natural for me to, after, if I know we were going to hang out with somebody, I'll start before I get there. I'll start creating metaphors in my head before I even get there. I know, and he was the one like call me Uncle Pac. He used to say stuff like that. Yeah, call me. I'm your daddy. Call me Uncle Pac. And I used to be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You my son. All that stuff because that was the words and stuff back then. But I already knew we was gonna battle. Shock was gonna get on the piano. Somebody was gonna beatbox. Somebody was gonna get on the drums. Somebody was gonna do something. It was gonna become a battle. He was gonna turn to me. I knew it because he was obsessed. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But I knew he was going to want to say something to me, but I was always getting prepared. So we always battled. And I always thought I won because I would always have him going, ooh, 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 and he would never take me. It was never like he couldn't make me stop.
Why y'all two never made any music?
We did music together. Music just never never got permission to release it. We did music together. Pac stole one of my beats. I forget which one it was. He stole one of my beats and he told me he was going to steal it and he stole it. I forget what beat it is, but he took one of my beats. He listened to the song and he was like, I'm taking that beat. And I was like, no, you're not. That's my beat. But he took it and he rapped off of it. I forget what it is now. I can't remember. But he did. He took the beat. And I think we probably performed on it. And I think I was supposed to do Dear Mama 2 or something we were supposed to do. I can't remember all of the stuff. Sometimes they bring up stuff and remind me. But it was so long ago. I mean, it's been over 32 years now since Pac's been gone. So just imagine the time before that. Like we didn't work together when he was with Death Row. We didn't work together before he went to prison. They're getting shot and all of that stuff. This is the early part of Pac's career before he started, before the world knew how talented he was. When he was just coming out. I mean, I remember reading some of his first interviews and thinking to myself, like, why is he using the word nigga so much? Like, he don't even talk like that, like because he was just so militant. But that was just a side. And I think more and more of getting out of the digital underground into his own light, from being Tupacalypse to Tupac to Pop. It was just so many different sides to him, to being on the East Coast a lot with Tretch and them. I think so many different styles, because he's such an artist that he could pull a rabbit out of his hat and just become who he was. And when I first heard his interviews, I was just like, now who is this dude? And I called him like, yo, why are you doing something? You sound crazy. Like you do your first interview and you just talking like you just and all this, like, like I was just waiting on the world to see him for what I saw him as. And then I read the interview. I'm like, huh? But, that was him. You couldn't tell him nothing. That Gemini had two sides to him.
Was you speaking to him when he was in prison?
I did. Yeah, we talked. We talked every blue moon. I mean, we talked off and on a little bit. You give me a call occasionally. Occasionally, he would check in and say, what's up? I know he had his sister called me to tell me, she said, tell Yo-Yo you're pregnant and watch, she's going to, because I mentor, I was his sister's mentor. She joined the IBWC when she was 13. Seth and I are still close to this day. But it's like, tell Yo-Yo you pregnant. And then I was like, she was like, I have to tell you something. I'm proud. I was like, I'm pregnant too. She was like, Yo-Yo's pregnant too. So he's like, what? Yo-Yo's pregnant, so that's how they found out I was pregnant. Yeah, so we talked every blue moon, like, he would call and I would check in on him and make sure he was okay. But he had his own life. We hadn't talked since the early, like, 92s.
So he was happy for you when he found out you was pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, Pac we became brothers and sisters. After we stopped dating, we were like just brothers and sisters. We just still had respect for each other, love for each other. Mind you, he was an artist. You know what I mean? And we were friends. And I knew his family.
Wow. So I'm really learning a lot right now by listening to this, because I did not know that Tupac and Yo-Yo dated. But that's cute. That's cute. I feel like they made a good couple. But, basically what they're saying is just like, the shift, I guess, that he made from being more so like, the poet, the artistic guy, the intellectual guy, the militant activist guy, and then goes into, the rap scene or whatnot. And start to become more like, this thuggish like dude and stuff like that, and getting involved with, the beefs and the fighting and the crime and all of that stuff, it was a shift. And so for her, I guess, it kind of that put a wedge between them and their relationship. But I think that's dope. Did you know that Imani that they dated? Imani, are you there? You can unmute.
Sorry. No, I didn't know that they dated. And it's really good to hear someone talk about Pap from the eyes of someone who knew him before the fame, before the legend. Because she's talking about her friend. She's talking
Right.
about someone she really knew, intimately. And I'm not talking about the dating part, but she knew, like she describes him, the fact that they had these rap battles. The one thing I did know about him, though, I did know that he went to a performing arts school, and I
Yeah.
did know he was trained in ballet. Not
Yeah.
a lot of people do know that he was trained in ballet and, obviously dance, and he
Mhm.
went to a performing arts school. But she also talks about, and she alludes to the change in him, the change. But I think those changes happened after the things like he got shot, getting involved in the beef, the death row records, etc., the other connections. But it's nice to know that, it's nice to hear from someone that's not talking about, the legend. They're talking about the man rather than the
Yeah.
legend. And he was a great lyricist, as she said. And also the fact that, the political persuasions. I mean, people should go out there and look at some of his. There are some short clips of interviews and things that he talked about back in the early 90s and
Mhm.
late 80s that we're going through now. He was talking about the billionaire class and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, the thing about Yo-Yo, you don't even have to add a lot to what she says because she tells it all really in a very succinct way without, you can see there's not embellishment. It's just, you know, is coming from the heart, what
It's
she's
from
saying. It's a great interview, really great interview. And yes, please go and subscribe to Art of Dialogue. They have some great interviews over there. But yeah, it's really good. But I didn't know. No, I didn't know that she dated him.
Yeah. And I agree with exactly what you said. Like you could tell when somebody is just reminiscing and basically having a conversation and telling you about their friend. This is my friend. Like we spent time together. And like you said, not even just in the romantic relationship part, just a friend. Like we was on the block, we was getting cheeseburgers and fries. You know what I'm saying? We was rap battling each other. Like and people, all of us sometimes tend to be or have, you know, different versions of ourselves, throughout our lives, and like I think the younger part of your life, like the more innocent part of your life, when you have friends that can attest to like, who you were and how you were, and the things that y'all used to talk about and the things that y'all used to do. I just think that's beautiful to shine a light on that because especially when it comes to like, these celebrities, especially if they're legends like Tupac is, it's like you hear it from the entertainment standpoint, you hear it from the industry standpoint, and the stories that they come to tell that sometimes, like you said, probably a lot of the time are embellished. um but then again too, it's like he, he
It's
lived.
also mainly from the beef standpoint.
Yeah, the beef standpoint. Because he lived many different, with the young years of his life that he did get to live, RIP to him. um he lived many different versions of that, and she was around for a version of it, and other people might have been around him for a different version of it. and all the street stuff is, starting in the raps and the beefs and the crime and all of that, whatever, So sometimes you can meet people and everybody can meet a different version of that person. Because as we go through life, we don't stay the same all the way forever. At the core, you're still the same person. But as you go through things, as you get older, like you said, um, after the attempts and stuff, the first time the attempts on his life and stuff, that's something that's traumatic. It can change you. It can change how you view life. It can change how you view society, people, how you move and how you operate. You're not as trusting. You're not as loving. You're not as forgiving. You're not as patient. Like all of those things can change you, and who you become after experiences like that. So I love to hear this version. I love to hear this version of Tupac. I love to hear it coming from her. Because like I said, she's so loving, she's so open and honest. And it was a beautiful time, a beautiful experience, so I love it. But let's keep going with this. We don't have much longer of this one. Just about another 5 minutes. And then we'll move into the next one where she talks about her audition for Sister Act 2 and how, Lauren Hill got that, but she really wanted to get that role as well. But let's keep going, y'all. We'll meet you in the chat.
And I was a mentor to his sister. You know what I mean? And he always wanted me to be bigger and rap. Like, he used to give me ideas like, you should do this. You should write a rap like I'm in love with my best friend's man. I'm like, dude, no, stupid. But then they look, and then they made women to do it. Then they came out with women to do it.
Did you two break up or did y'all just slowly go y'all separate ways?
We just fizzled out. We just fizzled out. Yeah, we just fizzled out. We were just two different people. We were just two different people. You know what I mean? I stopped liking him and I think he stopped liking me. But we were still friends. Yeah, I didn't like him anymore. And as a boyfriend, as in a relationship, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was torn. I was seeing other cute guys that wasn't. I was like, oh, okay. No, I'm just joking. We caught up. No, I'm just joking. No, Pac and I was really good friends, and it's so funny that people ask me about him all the time. But that was early 90s, you know what I mean? The early 90s that we had this, and it's just so powerful. I know he's probably laughing the fact that his name gets brought up in all my interviews. I know he's in wherever he is, he's probably like, and you still got to talk about me. And you still talking, and you can't keep my name out your mouth. Okay.
What was the backstory behind that video that you and Pac did? I don't want to butcher her name, but I think she was a Jamaican artist.
Patra, Romantic Call. Patra, I know I saw Patra 30, I hadn't seen her in 30 years from that video, but Patra was signed to Sony, and one of her reps who was like a sister to me in the industry called me and said, hey, listen, I have this artist from Jamaica and I think you'd be great on the song. And I did the song with her. I loved it because hip hop was handcuffed so hard to get out of not being just hip hop, because you remember they were saying Boss couldn't, because she was Catholic and she went to the school, she couldn't be a gangster rapper. They were saying if you wasn't really living the life, you couldn't really do it. So hip hop was in the box. It was handcuffed for a long time. And so the fact that I got a chance to work with Queen Latifah, Brandy, I Want to Be Down was dope for me. Patra, which I got a chance to, outside of it being hip hop and it being Jamaican. It was just introducing me to another genre of people that would not have necessarily known me because they were trying to handcuff hip hop.
So him being at the video shoot, was that planned or did you ask him to, come to the video shoot, or how did that come about?
No, they told me Pac was going to be on that video. I was 8 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant in that video. Yep, I was like 7 to 8 months pregnant in that video. Yep, they told me that Pac was gonna be in the video, and it was perfect. Like I said, everybody loved Pac. Pac was just he was great to be around. Like I said, he's one of the dopest. I mean, to watch him perform, if he was to tell me he was performing, we were going. Yo, Pac is in town. He's performing here. We were going because at that time, hip hop artists was just standing on the stage. I mean, you rarely would you see somebody really entertaining the crowd, really getting into it, and that's why I'm such a performer. Because I love the fact that he would just he would you could feel his lyrics in his movement. You know what I mean? He was passionate about it, and he meant what he said, and and that performing arts school really paid off because he knew to be expressive in his lyrics. And so yeah, I would love to see him perform. And I love to be so people loved him. People loved him for many reasons.
All right, y'all. So that's the end of that little segment right there with her. It's Pop. Okay, now, well, you learn stuff every day. You learn something new every day. But I love the way she had a conversation about him. And, like I've never met him or anything like that, but I have listened to his music and I could tell from his music and just how, he delivered it. And in his videos, you can see on his face and his body language, like what he was rapping about, speaking about, it meant something to him. There was passion behind it. And I think that's what made him such a great artist. And I think that's what makes any artist a great artist. It's one thing to just, have somebody write something for you and you pick up the paper and you try to sing or rap up off of it and not even fully understand, the emotion that's behind the words that's on that page. That's why I think it is great to be a writer as well, and a storyteller. And Tupac he did poetry when he was in performing arts school as well as dance. And like Imani said, ballet. And when you're very artistically inclined and connected to arts in that type of way, very expressive, it makes the art that much greater. Ballet is one of the dances that is like extremely expressive, right? And there's many other dances that are expressive as well. But I used to do ballet when I was younger for a little bit, and it is a very expressive dance. You have to tell a story with your body and the movements of your body. And I don't know if anybody has ever been to any ballets before to go and watch. It really is a beautiful thing to see, and if you can interpret it properly, you can literally sit there and watch ballet dancers, with no lyrics to the music, just raw instruments and sounds, a lot of time orchestra, and watch how these people twist and turn their body to tell a story. It is the most amazing expression of art that you ever would see. And to me, that's my personal opinion. It's something that I really love. Everybody loves what they love, but I love that. And, that ties into it's like, and then you got this black dude that's from the hood that knows how to express himself artistically due to the fact that he's done ballet and he's done poetry. Then he learned how to incorporate all of that into rap, like gritty rap and expressional rap, activist rap, storytelling, like just amazing. Anyway, Monty, what's some of your thoughts on it and on Tupac overall?
Well, like I said, it's seeing him from the view of someone who knew him before the legend, and the love which she and respect that she speaks about her friend, her friend, her brother. And she doesn't make a big thing about, their relationship fizzling out, because that's what happens when you're young. You meet people, you date them, you may be with them for a long time, theirs fizzled out, and they stayed friends. And not many people could do that. And she was friends with him until he passed. RIP, RIP to him. But it was a nice take looking at him through someone else's eyes, eyes of love, the love of a friend. And it's weird. We both did ballet when we were young, and I gave it up because ballet is hard. You need a lot of strength to be able to do ballet. I mean, people think that ballet's easy. It's not. The strength, the tenacity, it is a beautiful dance, but it's tough. And the fact that he did that just goes to show, the eclectic man that he was. And, it is someone who's greatly missed. But I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Just her storytelling is great. And she's so, you know, it's just a great, as I said, he's a great interviewer anyway, but she is a great storyteller. And,
Yeah.
there's no embellishment. There's just, basic stuff about her friend. And,
Yeah.
we tend to hear a lot more about the later life, but we don't hear a lot about the earlier life. And, the fact that she mentored his sister, you know, it's,
Hmm.
it's nice to know. And I didn't know, like you, that she dated him.
Hmm. And you see how respectful she was about that. It's like it just didn't work out. We grew apart, you know what I mean? But we remained friends. And I love that because a lot of times with breakups or when people go their separate ways, people always assume to think that something really bad happened or something really terrible happened, and now they hate each other. They don't like each other anymore. In some relationships, it may end bad, but in some relationships, it don't always have to end bad, and it can be very mutual, very understanding, and no love lost. So I love that. I love how she broke that down and expressed that time that she shared with him. Um, and shine a different light, a different and a more positive, like spiritual light. You know what I mean? And not just the West Coast, East Coast beef, and the Tupac and Biggie and this and that. It's nice to hear a different time and a different side of him and hip hop. But let's go ahead and move along now to the final video, y'all, that we're gonna be playing when it comes to Yo-Yo. And this is gonna be her talking a little bit about Sister Act 2 and her audition. And she says like the audition still haunts her to this day. Lauren Hill did get the role, but she really wanted it. And so, I think that's something that, really devastated her and broke her heart. But let's go ahead and hear from her and see what went down with that audition there on Sister Act 2. I didn't know she auditioned for that. But let's go ahead and get this video pulled up. And then after we listen to this, y'all, we will take a quick song break. And after that song break, we'll get into the two interviews with Dr. Umar and Art of Dialogue, which are really equally as excellent. All right, y'all, let's get into it. And we'll meet you in the chat.
You want to hear a joke?
Absolutely, definitely.
So, uh, what's his name? Bill Dukes. So they called me in and I love Bill Dukes, and he's seen me around and he was telling me, he's going to get me a part in one of his movies. So I get a call from their company saying, Sister Act 2. And they were like, but do you sing? Yeah, of course. We know you rap, but do you sing? I said, yeah. I don't know why I'm telling you this story, but I am because it's stupid, but I want to tell you. So listen, so I go in there thinking it's like a regular audition, you do it in front of the three people, I'm thinking, like if they ask me to sing, what song am I gonna sing? I'm thinking I could do a little Anita, I love Anita, I'm like, what song can I sing that I don't sound like I'm trying to sing? Mind you, I don't know what the part is. They just said, can you sing? So I'm just thinking if they ask me to just hum a tune, let me find a tune to hum. I get in there, it's just Bill Duke and me with a chair sitting like this in front of him. and we chopping it up and we talking. So I run my lines with him, and he goes after he finished. I'm thinking, oh, I did good because I had been working on it. And I'm like, oh yes. So he's like, yo, they said you sing. It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, you sing. So I'm keeping my face. I'm like, well, I have this song I wrote. And so, we were in love with JC Chapman back then, right? Shut up. So I wrote this song and I said, don't you worry about me and my baby. Me and my baby's all right. You just make way for your new lady. Make sure you treat her right. Everybody goes through those changes. The change of wrong and right. And right, got all the way through it. Lauryn Hill gets the part, and I was like, oh, they meant that kind of singing. And let me tell you something. For a long time, I was thinking, where the hell is that tape? I'm trying to put a little extra on it for you, but I know I sung that song like Tracy Chapman. Don't you worry about me and my baby. And then I see Lauryn Hill singing. I said, oh, they meant that kind of singing. Tape never came out, so who cares, right?
Oh wow! So they got Lauryn Hill to sing it.
Lauryn Hill was the lead. She played. They was looking for someone to play that role where she was the adopted kid, the kid that almost like the one who was everybody felt like was beneath them. She was a foster kid, an adopted kid, something like that along those lines. And she had this beautiful voice that they wind up enhancing, and she really became the big voice of Sister Act 2. But once I knew that they wanted that kind of singing, when I heard her singing in that movie, I said, oh, I tried. I was like, and Bill Duke didn't even laugh in my face. Like he was like, yes, yo, yes. And then I see what he wanted. I'm like, this nigga was probably like, get her ass out of here. And they're singing my heart out. Don't you worry about me and my baby. And after I left out, I didn't feel good about it anymore. I was like, damn, I should have sung Anita. Inside joke, but that was funny. I thought that haunted me for a long time. Just that whole audition haunted me for a long time. I just was thinking like, when they used to show you people's audition tapes, and I used to be like, oh, please don't nobody embarrass me to get that, Hilarious.
You said they hunted you for a while.
Yes. Because I couldn't sing. I lied and said I could sing. I couldn't sing. That was number one. You know what I mean? But it got me to audition. So I was like, okay. So then my nerves was all wrapped. I was like, oh God, what song am I going to sing? What song am I going to sing? And I was like, okay, I'll sing because I wasn't a singer, So I'm like, well, what song can I sing? And I thought about that song I wrote.
That was a short one, y'all. Oh my gosh, she had me cracking up. She is so cute. I love her. She was like, oh, that kind of thing. Child, sometimes you gotta make it till you make it. And you never know. You gotta take any opportunity, any chance you can get when it comes to you. But yeah. But see, she's so humble and so nice, but she ain't better than nothing. You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's what it's about. Sometimes you just gotta laugh at yourself. You just have to look. It wasn't for me. It wasn't meant for me. What it was meant for is what it was meant for. But Lauren did knock that out. Lauren did knock that out. I should say. Love Yo-Yo's laugh. I've never heard this story before with Lauren. Yeah, me either. I did not. I'm learning so much from listening to that interview with Yo-Yo, but she had me cracking up. And her laugh is contagious. Like she's really sweet. You can tell that she has like a really light, like just a happy, loving personality. Like just humble, kind, funny. Like I love it. I love it. But that was cute. What did you think, Imani? Did you know? Did you know that she had an audition for that, or you never heard that either?
No, I never knew and I never heard it, but it did
Yeah,
make me laugh because,
yeah.
even when I watch shows like American Idol or X Factor, my
Mhm.
favorite part is always the auditions. It's better
Mhm.
than the main show. And
Yeah,
the auditions of the people that don't make it are the
yeah,
best comedy ever. And having a son who does performing arts and
yeah.
been to auditions and sat there and watched similar things where you're thinking, you see someone sing. I remember I was at an audition and someone's child was singing Celine Dion, um, My Heart Will Go On. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, I shouldn't be laughing at this because this is a small child trying to sing, but at least his mother loves him. And you just think, have they, and a lot of them, not only small children, but some of even the adults, you like, have you heard yourself?
You had to be honest.
Do you really hear yourself? So her story, I found it hilarious because it's so, it's the way she said, I want to see that audition tape. I really want to see that audition tape now because I'm telling you, I was the worst, but I was the worst. I was the worst parent at auditions because I could not stop laughing. I just couldn't. It was like, they're not going to hit that high note. I know they're not going to hit that high note.
You just be waiting for it, like, oh, this is gonna be bad. I
Yeah,
already
yeah,
know.
yeah. And then I look around and I've got, if you're with friends or you're with parents that and you just say, why?
I like,
Why do you do that? Doesn't he like science?
I mean, I feel like for real in life, honestly, as parents sometimes, and I'm gonna, be going through this very, very soon and stuff. You have to just be honest. Like either you got it or you don't. And I'm not saying we gotta squash their dreams and their hopes and stuff. You can give anything you want in an attempt. Try anything in this life. I encourage children to do so. Try, give it a good try. But once you try and you realize this just may not be it, now it's time to move on to the next thing because, and
You
I know
have
right,
to.
but
You have to tell them. You have to tell them we haven't got the money to waste. We
we
can't
can't.
pay for no more of those classes. No more. No way, no how. Because you will never be Fantasia.
Oh, it's like, son, I love you now. Mama loves you. But yeah, we might want to let's just put the basketball down. Let's see what we can do with this football here. Because with the basketball, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work out here. Yeah, for real. Anyway, yes, that had me cracking up. But see how humble and honest she is. It's like you just gotta laugh at yourself sometimes. You can't take yourself too serious sometimes. So, you know, I love that. But let's go ahead and take this quick song break, and after that, we'll come back with the Umar stuff. You could go ahead, Iman. You got some more you want to add to it?
No, no, no. I'm just saying everybody should watch the auditions. Even if you don't watch the shows, you watch the
Mhm.
auditions for these talent shows. They're hilarious. They're the funniest, funniest, funniest thing. That they make my day. I sometimes don't even watch the show. I just watch the auditions.
And I'll be the first one to say, look, y'all, I can't sing. Okay. I'll do a little something on the karaoke mic, right? And it's fun. And when I'm in the shower, I may feel like there's a chance. But once you dry off, right? You just gotta be honest with yourself. It's not for you. Like, this is not what God created you for. So, sometimes we just gotta be honest with ourselves. But that was cute. I like Yo. And y'all, again, like I said, if y'all want to watch that whole interview, I would suggest that you do. It's really, really good. Please support and go check out Art of Dialogue if you haven't already, and watch that entire interview with him and Yo. It's good. And we're gonna do 2 clips here from the interview with Dr. Umar and Art of Dialogue right after this song break, y'all. So we will be right back. And okay, so the 2 topics that they will be discussing. Number 1 is about that distasteful joke about George Floyd that happened on Kevin Hart roast. He'll be talking about that, and he also has a lot to say about the new Michael Jackson movie. And he's holding nothing back and responding to some people that has some things to say as well. So we'll get into that in just a minute, y'all. Let me go ahead and play this song, and we'll be right back.
Golden Queen in the building. Yeah, comedy used to heal people too. That night felt weird. Like half the room was laughing, and the other half was calculating damage. See, roasting somebody used to mean skill. Now everybody chasing shock value clips. Everybody want to trend. Everybody want to go viral. But what happens when the jokes stop being clever and just start sounding cruel? Yeah, Kevin built an empire off pain and humor. Turned trauma to business, made doubters consumers. Short jokes, marriage jokes, are part of the game. But that night you could tell some cuts ain't the same. Tom Brady smirking, crowd losing composure, talking about affairs while his ex all over posters. See, that work cause the irony hit. Rich, pretty people still publicly split. That's comedy, truth wrapped inside humiliation. Everybody laughing cause we know the situation. But then the room shifted, darker vibrations. Some jokes ain't roasting, they just exploitation. Ooh, too far. George Joy punchline, nah, that ain't slick. Some wounds still open, some pain still thick. People don't mind edgy if the writing got layers. But cheap shot glass make the whole room colder. Facts. Laugh when it's clever, boo when it's lazy. Some jokes timeless, some jokes shady. Hammer-D dance on the edge of the cliff. But if there ain't truth, then the joke don't hit. Sip slow, jazz low. Everybody watching ego steal the show. Cat walked in calm like a mob boss scene. Internet screaming, wait, what this mean? Months ago it was smoke and betrayal. Now they shaking hands on the Netflix cable. See, that's funny. Life come full circle. Enemies link when the money get virtual. Everybody got principles, still cameras arrive. Then suddenly old beef magically survives. Messy! Cheryl came through seasoned and dangerous. Auntie had time and delivery stainless. Didn't need cruelty, didn't need scandal. She cooked that stage with pure commando. That's the difference, confidence versus desperation. One gets applause, one gets pieces and cancellation. Thought I kept pushing, waiting for reaction. Like controversy itself became attraction. Internet divided freedom, accountability. Meanwhile, Netflix counting profitability. Facts. See, the problem ain't dark humor. The problem is lazy humor pretending to be brave. It takes skill to joke about pain without sounding empty. That's why some comedians age like wine, and others age like expired tweets. Everybody wanna be the savage in the room till backlash hit harder than the joke do. One side yelling, y'all too sensitive now. Other side saying humanity matters somehow. Truth a little, but there's a line between genius and cheap, between making us laugh and disturbing the peace. Kevin up there, smiling through pressure and heat. Papa be thinking, why Brady cooking me? Ain't Nico face it, everything quietly. That woman deserve an Emmy, honestly. Cat sitting back like a chest picker, cool. No one reconciliation itself was the jewel. That moment bigger than 50 cheap disease. Cause growth looks strange in an era built on friction. If the joke got truth, then the room gon' shake. If the joke got hate, then the silence wait. Laughs feel better when humanity's fake. Cause funny don't gotta throw dignity away. That roast became bigger than comedy somehow. Now everybody debating where the line really is.
All right, y'all. Thank you for rocking with me through that song right there. So yeah, that was a song that I made when I did the coverage for the Kevin Hart roast anyway. I did like a whole full video on that. It was a lot of things that happened during that roast. But anyway, so one of the things that happened, and I did talk a little bit about this as well, is there was I believe a very distasteful joke that was made about George Floyd. And this is, people are roasting Kevin Hart. I don't even understand why George Floyd's name would get brought up at all anyway. And the way that they made that joke, the joke correlated with the way that this man was unjustly unalived at the hands of police brutality. I can't, I don't understand. I cannot wrap my mind around these things sometimes where people have any type of logic that these type of things are okay and they're not, tasteless or offensive. And of course, George Floyd's brother and family and daughter has spoke out about the joke as well. And they're very hurt by it. And Kevin Hart and some other comedians that was at the roast actually doubled down on the fact that, it's just a joke and it's comedy and, we shouldn't be so overly serious when it comes to these things. Yeah, I get comedy and I get jokes and stuff, but no. So anyway, let's get into this video. So Dr. Umar addresses the recent Kevin Hart roast, calling out modern Black comedians for crossing the line from standard comedy into active disrespect. He asserts that creators are tearing down their own public figures on major platforms just to secure corporate checks. So he sits and speaks with Art of Dialogue on this. So let's get into this audio and we'll meet y'all in the chat. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. I gotta do a quick switcheroo. I'm sorry. I had these things that be lined up and I clicked the wrong one, y'all. So hold on. Let me go back and click the one with the Kevin Hart stuff. I apologize. And then we'll get into the one where you speak about the Michael Jackson movie. All right, got that switched out, swapped out. Let me get it back up here. Give me 1 sec. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, y'all.
How you feel about this Kevin Hart roast? I know it's been getting a whole lot of backlash right now for some of the jokes that was told on there. You seen it?
Art, on Mother's Day, Netflix had a Netflix is a joke festival, whatever that is. And part of that Netflix is a joke festival, they had the roast of Kevin Hart. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't intend to watch it. And then all of a sudden, the day after Mother's Day, my phone started blowing up. my Instagram inbox blowing up, my WhatsApp, my email, you name it, is blowing up. My Patreon is blowing up. I see a clip of a white comedian making a joke of George Floyd's death. It wasn't fun. It wasn't comedy. It was racist. But I thought that was the only joke of the Kevin Hart roast that people had a problem with. So I said, I'm going to need to address this, but I can wait. And then my phone continued to blow up. And I had brothers and sisters saying, Doc, this wasn't the only joke. It was dozens of disrespectful, insulting comedic material during that Kevin Hart roast. So I decided to watch it, Art. I spent 3 hours. It was about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I watched the whole thing from start to finish. I want to first read some of these jokes for your audience who did not see this. It starts off with Shane Gillis. He's the host. I never heard of the devil, but I know who he is now. He starts out by saying, I want to thank Netflix for choosing me to co-host this celebration of Black excellence. And when I heard that, I said, okay, that's an underhanded jab at Black excellence. He's basically trying to say, ain't nothing excellent about y'all. Y'all just a bunch of dumb niggas. That's what he was trying to say. But I said, okay, let me be patient. Because remember, Art, this is a 3-hour program. Then Usher comes out. Shout out to my brother Usher. He performed. He threw some jokes at Kev Hart. It was nice and clean. Shout out to Usher. I had no problem with my brother Usher. Then Tom Brady comes out because Kevin Hart, I believe, hosted Tom Brady's roast back in 2024. Tom Brady wasn't as bad as the others. He says things like, unlike your real dad, I actually showed up. He looks out at the crowd. Tom Brady says, who are all these people? I thought Spirit Airlines shut down. In other words, you're a bunch of broke Black niggas. How did y'all afford to attend this show? Mind you, Art, is mostly white people out there. So this lynching took place in front of a predominantly white audience. I want to shout out my sister Regina King, Art. Excuse me, Regina Hall, not Regina King, Regina Hall, because I didn't see her laugh or barely laugh at any of the jokes. She was up there on the podium sitting down. She did not find it funny. Thank you to Sister Regina Hall for maintaining your integrity, as much of it as you could, during this public lynching of Black people described as a comedy show. Shout out to Regina Hall. Art, they were cursing through the whole thing. Vulgarity, profanity. It was nothing but degeneracy. But let me continue. Shane Gillis makes this joke, Art. He says, Cheryl's husband unalived himself. Obviously, Black does crack because he jumped off a effing roof. Did you hear what I just said? I'm going to say it again. Shane Gillis said, Cheryl's husband unalived himself. Obviously, Black does crack if it's married to Cheryl and jumps off an effing roof. So I do my research, Art, and guess what I find out? Her husband took his own life by jumping to his death, bro. They made a joke about her husband's suicide, Art, and check this out. It wasn't one joke about her husband's suicide. They repeatedly, throughout the whole show, made jokes about Cheryl Underwood's husband's suicide to millions of people watching this Netflix special all over the world. Let's continue. They called Pete Davidson a wigger, W-I-G-G-E-R. You know what a wigger is? A white person who loves niggas. Then he said, The Golden State Warriors logo is a bridge. Don't show that to Cheryl's husband. You see that, Art? Her husband is deceased. He took his own life. They repeatedly made jokes about this woman's deceased husband. Don't show her husband the Golden State Warriors logo on their jersey because he might want to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. Let's continue, Art. Then Shane says, racist devil, Shane Gillis, he says, I called Cheryl last night and asked her if it was okay to say some of these jokes. I want to say this to my sister, Cheryl Underwood, Art. I love her. I respect her. Great comedian. I love you, Sister Cheryl. But don't you ever again in your life give permission for white people to disrespect you, disrespect your deceased husband, or disrespect us. Because one thing we got to understand, Art, when they make these jokes about these comedians, they're not just attacking them. They're attacking all of us because they're digging up these old racialized jokes from the slave plantation and they're trying to make them popular again. I know exactly what this is, Art. Just like they trying to put us back in Jim Crow with the vote, they trying to put us back in Jim Crow with the comedy. They're trying to get our Black comedians to give them a license to publicly insult, belittle, disparage, and disrespect Black people. And I want Netflix to know we not having it. We not having this. We are not going to stand by and let white folks manipulate our comedians into making an ass out of themselves on TV for money so they can make it look like Black people don't mind being treated like porch monkeys. Black people don't be in mind treated like animals. See, they shouldn't have the right to vote anyway. See, they should all be locked up anyway, because who would sit up there and laugh at themselves being humiliated by racist white people? Let me continue, Art. Another joke. Kevin, it must suck being at 5'1", but at least being that short allows them to tell you apart from all the other Blacks. In other words, Art, we all look alike. Then Shane said, they told me to be racist. He said this. They told me to be racist. He said it on the mic. And listen to this joke from Shane Neanderthal Gillis. He said, Kevin's ancestors came to America on a slave ship and a bottle. Kevin's ancestors came to America in a slave ship and a bottle, Art. Obviously talking about him being small, but you making fun of our enslavement, the greatest crime in human history, even validate.
All right. Let's pause it right there, Imani, for a quick commentary break. I'm going to let you take the lead on this. What do you think about this? You can unmute.
I know. I didn't watch all the roast. I turned it off. I didn't.
I didn't watch it.
Did you watch it?
I couldn't watch all of it. I turned it off because after I heard certain jokes, I was just like, this is not comedy or funny to me at all. Like, it started to get me mad. So I turned it off. I didn't even hear some of these jokes that Umar went and did his research and penciled down.
Well,
through the whole
the point is with Umar will analyze everything. And this, I mean, the fact that Cheryl Underwood gave permission for them to make jokes about her husband unaliving himself, it is, I don't know.
Lost for words.
Yeah, that's what I am. I'm lost for words because this is where everything begins to cross the line and everybody says it's just comedy. It's just comedy. You know, you're mocking now trauma and suicide, and that's funny. It's
Help us, Lord.
I can't I cannot I'm
I mean,
actually shocked by
I mean,
the list of things he said already. I don't know if I can take him even speaking about it because it really is disgusting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know how anybody could give permission for someone to joke about their husbands unaliving themselves. She must be still going through trauma. I, I, she obviously would be, because I could never, I wouldn't even, I don't think I could have sat there through that. I think I would have walked out.
and I would say this, even if it wasn't a happy marriage, we don't know what that woman went through at the hands of that man and what their marriage was like. I get all of that, right? Because sometimes when people have bad experiences in a marriage or a relationship and it's bad blood, you know, people are gonna do and feel however they want to feel and do. But
Oh.
literally, if that is the way that your husband or your ex-husband or that man, that person, period, gave up hope on life and took his own life in that manner, and you
And he has a family. He has a family.
children, yeah, that have to listen to that. And you know, it's just like I
I
don't
mean, where do
understand.
we stop? What are the limits? What can we not joke about at all?
Right, right, right. And it's almost like, to me too, I'll take this into consideration. There was a lot of pushback when it comes to other communities and other groups of people, right? The level of jokes and the kind of jokes that they were making, right? And a lot of comedians had to get out, you know, and come out and speak out against that and say, you know, it's just comedy. You know, don't be in your feelings because it's just comedy. You know, this is we should not police comedians as far as what they can say as far as jokes and comedy, right? It was a lot of our comedians that had to defend themselves when it comes to this because other groups and races of people were thinking that the jokes were going too far and they were distasteful and they didn't like the jokes, right? And so now the caveat is we as the people, as black people, some don't care, some agree and say it is just comedy, it's just jokes, and some are highly offended. And I am highly offended when it comes to these type of jokes, but I also can feel the same offense when it comes to jokes geared towards other groups and communities as well, if it is done with vitriol. I don't think comedy and jokes should be done with vitriol. You can tell the difference between jokes and stuff that are being made that is just, you know, a little harmless joke that is geared and rooted in, like, maybe let's just say honesty or, you know, hypocrisy, things of that nature that you're literally teaching with that joke, but you also, you know, you're joking, you're delivering it with a level of expertise. Let's be very clear. During this roast, it wasn't very many comedians there. A lot of the people who are making these jokes are not professional comedians anyway. They're just celebrities. And some of them probably like each other and get along, and some of them probably don't, because you know, in Hollywood, it's all fake. You smile up in somebody's face, y'all sit at the same expensive dinner table or at the same, you know, expensive award show seat, but they don't like each other. They just smile and put on for the audience, right? Deep down, they probably really feel a lot of these things that they're saying. He's gonna keep going, and there's gonna be more jokes, even when it comes to Lizzo, right? And I do know that a lot of people, and this is another thing too, you know, like when it comes to our culture and our community, that we say sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying, right? They can find anything that they can say now at this point when it comes to this, because we almost set it up. We set it up for them to be able to say these things to us because these are the things that we say to ourselves and say to each other. So, it's really hard to get somebody to understand that something is unacceptable, inappropriate, disgusting, racist, any of those things, because we make excuses for those things all the time, have been and continue to do so. We sit at the same table with these individuals that talk about us like this and think about us like this, and we make friends with them and we play nice with them. And then when they take it too far, we don't say anything. We pretend like we didn't hear it. We pretend like we didn't see it. We pretend like it's not an issue, and we laugh right along with it. So it's like this saying that I believe to be true: you give somebody an inch, they'll take a mile. And right now, this is a marathon that we're seeing. This is a marathon being ran of racism and disrespect, distasteful behaviors and things that come out of people's mouths geared towards us that we say is okay. He literally just said that Cheryl Underwood gave permission for that man to sit up there and tell these type of disgusting jokes about her deceased husband. If we give him permission, what do we expect them to say? If we tell them it's okay, if we make them feel like it's okay, if we put comfortable spaces in place for them to do these things and say these things and treat us this way, what do we expect them to do? Keep doing what we allowing them to do. Keep talking to us the way we allow them to talk to us. Keep treating us the way we allow them to treat us. So yes, we are a big part of the problem when it comes to this stuff. It's definitely a 50-50 here, if you ask me. Because you're giving people permission to do it. It's a lot of people in their communities that give their friends permission to say the N-word with the hard R. What are we supposed to say? And then the ones of us that know or we don't tolerate it and we won't stand for it, we got to fight tooth and nail because we got a half of our community that's over here giving permission for it and laughing right along with it and making it seem like it's okay. So our backs is up against the wall here when it comes to this, because half of us is getting it, half of us are not getting it. I don't know. I just don't know. It is a loss for words. But let me keep going here. We're going to play a little bit more.
As such by the United Nations last month. Are you kidding? You're going to make fun about the enslavement of my ancestors and you're going to pass it off as comedy. Art, this was not comedy. This was a public execution of the honor, self-respect, and integrity of Black America, and we not going for it. Let me continue. Listen to this one, Art. Kevin's father was a California raisin, but he wasn't raising anybody. His dad was addicted to crack, and he left, and he abandoned him. But I guess that's better than being there for the filming of Jumanji 3. I'm telling you, Art, if I didn't see it myself, if I didn't see this myself, you couldn't have told me that these were the jokes that came out of white people's mouths on international television while we were sitting right in front of their face. Let's continue. Here's another one. Now, Shane Gillis didn't say all these jokes, Art. Some of the other white comedians said them too when they got up to the podium. But most of them came from Shane's Neanderthal Gillis. Listen to this one. Kevin did well in Saudi Arabia because they thought he was the monkey from Aladdin.
How is that funny?
It ain't funny, Art. It ain't funny. This was not comedy, bro. This was a get back for Drewski portraying Erica Kirk. But I don't have a problem with what Drewski did, Art, because he wasn't vulgar. He didn't call that woman a bitch. He didn't mention Charlie Kirk's name. All he did was imitate her behaviors, Art, for 3 minutes. That's all Drewski did. But white people are so narcissistic, so paranoid, so psychologically entitled that they don't even think a Black comedian has a right to do a skit of a Black woman, of a white woman and whiteface when this white woman clearly supports the anti-black agenda of this government. You damn right Drewski had a right to do what he did. I'm glad Drewski did what he did. But guess what, Art? These jokes that they did at this Kevin Hart roast, it makes Drewski's Erica Kurt skit look like a picnic, Art. You cannot compare that Drewski skit of Erica Kurt to what they did to Cheryl Underwood. In fact, Art, this should not have been called a roast of Kevin Hart. You know what they should have called it? The roast of Cheryl Underwood. This was the roast of Cheryl Underwood. They lured our sister there. They sat her up front, Art. They racially targeted her, and they unloaded on that beautiful, dark-skinned black woman all night long. This was a get back for Erica Kurt. Let me continue, Art. Kevin did so well in Saudi Arabia because they thought he was the monkey from Aladdin. Here's another one. Listen to this one, Art. Kevin is so short, they will have to lynch him from a bonsai tree. Kevin is so short, they will have to lynch him from a bonsai tree. I got something I want to say. Somebody said that Pastor Jamal Bryant came out, as he should, shout out to Pastor Jamal Bryant, and he rebuked Netflix for this comedy special. Several black people did, but I want Pastor Jamal Bryant to go one step further. Pastor Bryant, you know what you're going to do, sir? You're going to get with other black ministers around the country, and you guys are going to draft a letter. All of you are going to sign it. That letter is going to go to Netflix, and you're going to tell Netflix, if anything like this ever happens again, there will be a national black boycott of Netflix. And not only are we going to boycott Netflix in America, we're going to ask our continental African brothers and sisters, our Australian African brothers and sisters, our Canadian African brothers and sisters, our European African brothers and sisters, our Caribbean African brothers and sisters, our Central and South American African brothers and sisters to boycott Netflix. If Netflix ever disrespects black people like this again, you will pay with your pocketbook. I need the black pastors to send Netflix a letter, Art. I need the Congressional Black Caucus to send Netflix a letter. I need the Divine Nine, black fraternities and sororities to send Netflix a letter. I need the Urban League, the NAACP, and every grassroots black organization, the Black Masons included. Send Netflix a letter and tell them, if this ever happens again, Netflix will be canceled by the black African race. You are not going to play in our face as you benefit from our pain. You are not going to play in black people's face as you benefit from our pain. And then Jeff Ross got up there. I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff Ross, bald head white dude. I believe he's a cancer survivor. And they made jokes about him about his cancer. But if white people want to make jokes with white people, that's their business. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't got nothing to do with that. All right? Now, he gets up there and guess what he says? He says, hello, Cheryl Underwood. You look like the donkey from Shrek.
Disrespectful, man.
Art, when I tell you, brother, they terrorized our sister all night long. They humiliated and shamed our sister all night long, and not a single black man in there stood up and said anything about it. Let me say this to my brother Draymond Green from Black Michigan. Draymond, I'm a Draymond Green fan. Draymond Green is an alpha male. He's a stand-up black man.
All right, y'all. So, due to triggers, right, from a lot of the jokes that were being said and just the overall disgust, the racism and disgust of it all, a lot of people are triggered by this, okay? And I've gotten word of that, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move forward. If you want to watch it on your own time and your own accord, the full interview and these clips are over on the Art of Dialogue with Dr. Umar, so you can watch the whole thing yourself. He did have a lot of things to say at the end as far as summing it all up, wrapping it all up, um, and the activism part of it all. But as far as the jokes and stuff and what's being said, it's triggering a lot of people. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop that there. Okay, let's go ahead and move on now. We're going to let's just take a uplifting song break. I know a lot of people are triggered by that. And after that, we'll just get into the final video where we'll be talking about Michael Jackson, one of our favorite legends in the new Michael Jackson movie. So I'm going to play an uplifting song for us all, and we'll be right back, okay?
Cradle and Gloria in excelsis. Yeah, yeah, I've been through the fire, walked through the rain, felt that pressure, felt that pain. They told me it was over, told me just give in, but they don't know the power that's living within. Yeah, I'm looking at the mountain, telling it to move. I got a different rhythm, I got a different groove. The chains are getting heavy, well, I'm getting strong. The king is on the throne, yeah, that's where I belong. Now the night is over, I see the day. All the breakthroughs coming, it's here to stay. I face the victory, come what may. It's here to stay. Something has to break. I feel it in the air. I'm casting every burden, casting every care. One night of weeping, but the morning is bright. We're walking out of darkness and into the light. Check the track record, he never failed yet. The miracle is coming, yeah, that's a safe bet. From the impossible to the it is done. The battle's already over, the victory is won. So let the strings soar, let the heavens open wide. I got the creator of the universe on my side. It's here to stay. The morning is here. Something has to break. The morning is here. Something has broken.
All right, y'all. So I just want to go ahead and play that song to kind of lift the spirits a little bit and the energy. I know a lot of people were a bit triggered by some of that stuff and those jokes that Dr. Umar was reading off. But we'll get into some
Well,
final thoughts
can I
about
just
that.
say,
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead. Uh-huh.
yeah, can I just say, yeah, it was triggering, but I do think, in a sense, we had to hear it. I mean, Dr. Umar may be dramatic and very graphic, but they said it as they said it. And I don't care who you joke about, whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, anybody, those jokes are offensive in the highest order. And if I was there, I would have walked out. There's no way I could have sat through that. No way. No way. I don't care whether it's happened to me or not. I think it's quite disgusting. And what people will do for money just amazes me in this 2026. I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted that it was allowed to even go on. And that's maybe I'm exaggerating, but Or maybe I don't know, maybe I'm seeing it differently. I mean, what do you think?
No, I agree. I'm flabbergasted too. And we didn't even get halfway through it. We didn't even get to the George Floyd part, right? Because that that one really was the main one that I heard. I didn't even hear all of these because, like I said, I couldn't watch it no more. I stopped watching it after I just hear, disgust. I didn't look at that thing as a comedy show. That wasn't no roast. That was annihilation on people. And yeah, majority of the people who were being clowned and joked about, yeah, they were black people. Let's just be very clear about that. And the racist jokes, and then to give permission for them to be racist and permission for them to tell racist jokes. Most of that permission coming from our people. It flabbergasts me as well. I can't get it through my skull. I don't understand. In 2026, what are we really talking about here? And when we get up here and we say they're trying to take us back, history seems to be repeating itself. I don't think our people are going to be happy until they fully and truly experience what our ancestors did. Because I don't think they understand the pain. I don't think they understand the humiliation, the struggle, in the real truest form that it can be and it can come in. And that is literally what they are marching us right into. Our own people are doing it. So y'all want to go back to Billie Holiday singing about the poplar trees? Do you want to go outside on your front lawn and experience what that smells like and what that looks like? Because you're literally giving people permission for us to experience that in 2026. The same thing our ancestors experienced. Some made it through it, most of them didn't. Until that happens, until you have to go outside and see your child hanging from a tree, burning, is that when now you say enough is enough and you stop gaslighting and co-signing this BS? When is it going to be enough for you? When are you going to wake up? And that stuff get me really hot. That's why I said for others, it's triggering. And I don't know what kind of way, maybe sadness. For me, it's not necessarily triggering, it's enraging. I get angry because I don't get it. And I can't make no sense of it. And the same exact thing we seen sitting up there on that stage. Same type of jokes and rhetoric we see going on in the government. They doing it here on YouTube for content. But when you say something about it and you call it out, what? We supposed to be in the wrong? We supposed to just be stirring a pot and starting trouble? I'm not starting any trouble. I'm calling it like I see it. How many more places we got to go and witness this stuff? Nobody's crazy over here. I see it and I hear it for exactly what it is. In multiple places and spaces. And for the life of me, I will never understand why. Why are we giving permission for this type of energy? Why are we giving permission to these people to do these things to us, to treat us like this, to take us back? Is that what you want? It's too many of y'all that like your iPads and y'all sneakers and your Apple cell phone watches. All of the luxuries that y'all have. It's too many of y'all that love those things. You can't part with them. But you keep giving permission for this type of stuff, you're going to start living in a day and age where you don't have any of that. And you'll see exactly how our ancestors had to live. Kiss it all goodbye right now. If you want to keep giving people a green light and a pass for this type of behavior and to treat us like this, you must want to go back. You must be really curious about it. Too damn curious for me because I don't want to know. It's a shame our ancestors had to go through that. God bless them all now. Rest in peace to all of them now. Lord knows they're rolling and turning in their graves. Now we're giving permission. Child, let's just get to this Michael Jackson video so I can get about it because I can't do it.
You already know I gotta ask you, man. You being a big Michael Jackson fan, you seen the Michael movie?
I've seen the new Michael Jackson movie starring his nephew, Jafar. First of all, I want to say Jafar Jackson did a supreme job. Superb art. That young man should get Oscar for Best Actor. I doubt that happens because they already gave it to our brother Michael B. Jordan. And as you know, we only get it every 10 to 15 years. But Jafar Jackson deserves Best Actor. Absolutely. He channeled his uncle as only a nephew can do. I'm a Michael Jackson fan. I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I had the jackets, the gloves. I did the dance. My mother named me after his older brother, Jermaine. I was born Jermaine, not Umar. My father changed my name when I was approximately 7 years of age. Let's get into this. Michael Jackson. First of all, I can't believe that you got Caucasian Nation out here, white America, running around complaining, Art, that the movie did not cover the child sex abuse allegations. How dare Caucasian Nation get upset because the movie didn't cover the child sex allegations? Art, the movie doesn't need to cover the child sex allegations. Not part one, not part two. And why not, Art? Because Michael Jackson was never convicted of any child sex allegations. Had he been convicted, I could possibly understand. But just like white people do with their heroes, they don't talk about the negative stuff in their life. They talk about the positive stuff in their life. They just had a movie come out about Elvis Presley. Priscilla was sleeping in that man's house since she was 14 years old, and white people still celebrate Elvis. Thomas Jefferson was molesting a little black girl by the name of Sally Hemings since she was 11 or 12 years old. White people still about to celebrate Thomas Jefferson on July 4th, 2026, America's 250th birthday. So how dare you celebrate known pedophiles, Art? They're celebrating known pedophiles. But you want black people to publicly lynch Michael Jackson, who is acquitted of all charges of his 2005 trial, Art. Acquitted of all charges. And I saw an interview with my Philadelphia brother Coleman Domingo and my beautiful sister Nia Long. They were promoting the Michael movie, and it was on one of those Neanderthal talk shows, and somebody asked them about the fact that the child sex allegations were not covered. And they said, well, this movie was about the first half of his life. Well, that might be true, Art, but part two is coming out. And part two better not slander Michael. So Antoine Fuqua, the director, brother, if they want you to slander Michael Jackson's image in part two, don't do it. And I do have concerns about that, Art. I do have concerns that they might want to slander Michael Jackson in part two. Why? Because the movie is produced by 3 white men. To my knowledge, the movie is being produced by 3 white men. So who knows what their agenda is going to be? But I hope Antoine Fuqua don't go for that nonsense. Now, let's get back to the timeline, Art. Let's get back to the timeline. First of all, let me say this about the movie. I loved it. I loved it. It was great. Everybody needs to see it. However, as a Michael Jackson enthusiast, I did expect to learn something that I did not already know. I think the movie was perfect for millennials, Art. But if you were a Generation Xer, you already knew everything in that movie. I would have appreciated a little bit more insight into the family dynamic. In other words, how was his relationship with each of his siblings? And how was their relationship with Michael's success? And how did their parents relate to them in the context of Michael's success? Did they feel left out? Did they feel overlooked? Did they feel pushed to the side? Because his brothers had no voice in the movie art. The Jackson Five had no voice. The sisters really didn't have no voice. Where was Rebe? She wasn't represented. Janet wasn't represented. I really felt the movie focused a little too much on his relationship with his father. They basically threw Joe Jackson under the bus. And don't get me wrong, I do believe Joe Jackson was a narcissist, rest in peace. I do believe he was living his own dream through his sons. But with that being said, Art, Michael Jackson doesn't become Michael Jackson without Joe Jackson. In other words, Michael Jackson, Art, was a chosen one. Mike was chosen. Anybody who looks at that man with the talent and the gifts that he had, he was born to inspire through his music. His record, Thriller album, 135 times platinum, I think it is now, that'll never be broken. He came to this world to inspire through his music. And just like Christ, he was unalived because of his mission. Now let's run through the timeline, Mike. Let's run through the timeline, Art. Thriller, Michael Jackson's 6th album. Most people don't know Michael Jackson had 5 albums before Thriller, Art. 5 of them. One of them was produced right here in Philadelphia. Kenny Gamble and Huff. Michael lived in Philly for a minute while he was working on the one album with Gamble and Huff. So anyway, he had 5 studio albums. Thriller was the 6th. He left Motown, got with Quincy Jones. They do Thriller. Thriller is released November the 29th of 1982, Art. November 29th, 1982. By 1984, it is put in the Guinness Book of World Records as the #1 selling album of all time. Guess what Michael Jackson decides he wants to do, Art? Hold on, we ain't there yet. I'm going to get there. So, Thriller in 1982, Guinness Book of World Records in 1984. In August of 1985, Art, 1985, guess what Michael Jackson decides he wants to do? He decides to make the biggest single publishing rights purchase in music history. Michael Jackson pays $47.5 million for the ATV music catalog. 4,000 songs, Art. This is August the 10th of 1985. Thriller came out November 29th, 1982. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records, 1984. So he's still riding Thriller, Art. He's still riding the wave. But Mike doesn't settle. Most entertainers would have done what? Chilled with their money. Mike said, nah, I don't just want to be a musician. I want to own the game. I don't just want to be a musician. I want to own the game. So guess what he does? He buys ATV music catalog, Art, 4,000 songs, 125 Beatles classics, 125 Beatles classics, Elvis Presley's music, a sizable collection of Elvis music. Guess who else, Art? Little Richard, Bruce Springsteen, Cher, and a whole host of other artists. Art, he owns their publishing. Michael Jackson does this. It's the largest music publishing acquisition by a single artist in history. That is 1985. So he's on top of the world, Art, on top of the world. And then guess what he does? A decision that he will regret. In 1991, he signs a 15-year, 6-album deal with Sony Records. a 15-year, 6-album deal with Sony Records. This deal, Art, will bring Michael Jackson $1 billion plus over the course of the 15-year contract. He owes him 6 albums. He gets 25% of the revenue share, and he gets to start his own label, right? Everything going fine. Then he...
All right, y'all. So we're just gonna stop it right there for some quick commentary because we're almost a little bit under halfway through of this one. It's kind of a little bit longer, but we're gonna try to power through it as quickly as we can. But I just want to go ahead and do some commentary on this. Now that we have collected ourselves, y'all, I had to collect myself from that other one because I couldn't watch no more of that. But yeah, as far as the Michael Jackson movie, number one. Has anybody seen the new Michael Jackson movie? And if you have, what are your thoughts and feelings about it? Have you seen it, Imani?
No, I haven't. But most of the stuff that Dr. Umar's talking about is well known and well publicized. Um,
Yeah,
I'm, I think, um, I, I'm in two minds about whether or not they should have featured those charges, because the key thing is it happened in his life. He was charged and he was acquitted. So therefore, I don't see the problem including that as part of his bio, because it is part of his bio. He was charged by the by the federal justice system, and he was acquitted. So there's no problem in featuring it, because there is nothing more than he was found not guilty. So I don't say one way or another. What difference does it make if you put it in the movie? You know, I think, but I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't make a comment as to whether it was good or bad. I do know about the talk about Sony Records, and there was another UK star who had a similar issue, who is now not with us, who was George Michael. And he also wanted to get out of his contract with them. So there are a few, it has, there are what Dr. Marumar's talking about having this long contract with Sony, and then buying that music, Elvis, the Beatles, Little Richard, I can't remember who else he said was in there, Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, because they got that back after he died. So think what you want about that. But
right.
you know, he was one of the greatest artists of our time. Um, I have to see the movie to see what it's talking about, but I do understand the other things that he's saying, because you don't often hear about the relationship that he had with his siblings, really,
Right.
and the other siblings that are never mentioned, like Reba and the others. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do think it's important. I think that that would be an important part, because you never hear, you kind of get this feeling that he was detached, but was he? Because we don't know, because they never really explained the family dynamic, and that would interest me more. The family dynamic between the siblings, how they felt that he was the major star, really. How did they really feel? You know.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. But I want to see it. Apparently, it broke box office at the weekend. I can't remember whether I saw 700 or 800 million at the box office last
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think, honestly, what Dr. Umar is saying, and I hear what you're saying as well. Like your truth, and your life, your history, the things you go through as part of your life. I do believe if they were to touch on that a little bit, it should be touched on a very little bit, And just like you said, straight to the point. He was tried, he was acquitted, didn't do it. Okay, move on. But one of the things that I think is what Dr. Umar is saying that I've noticed as well too, and it is, it's really unfortunate because a lot of times the only reason why this is the fact of the matter with a lot of artists is because it's manufactured and it's orchestrated on purpose to tarnish the legend, to tarnish the name. It's these manufactured things that unfortunately these celebrities and these legends, especially the great ones, the really great ones, have to kind of have on their resume, especially when they're black. Let's be very clear about that. It's like you almost have to have a bad grade. You can never have all straight A's. There's got to be one F on there somewhere, even if it's manufactured, right? And I think one of the things that Dr. Umar is saying is frustrating is that when it comes to our legends, that typically is what we always see. Like they can never leave this earth unscathed without, having one F on their report card. They can never leave this earth with all straight A's. And the fact that Michael even had to go through all of that, all for it to be deemed that he didn't do anything, he's not guilty. Well, everybody knew that. So why put him through that? Why have to put that in the media and let it circulate in the media? Why have it even be a question, right?
Uh,
Um,
well, I think there's two schools of thought there, Golden, on this, because you can be found not guilty and still be guilty. I don't, the only thing that I would say is, you know, um, and I'm not saying that Michael was guilty. The point is that will be the other school of thought. And sometimes, you know, there, you know, I'm not saying that there was more to it than meets the eye. What I'm saying is that, not everybody believes that people who are found not guilty are not guilty. And I think the thing about with the Michael Jackson stuff, because he was so closed off until he did that interview with um the UK journalist Bashir, no one had ever seen an insight into his life, and that's what opened the door for those charges and the stuff, you know, about his life. He was strange. But he was strange because he had lived life in a bubble for so long.
right. Now, okay, I don't know a lot about this artist, just a few things, but let me know if you know. Has Elvis Presley ever been convicted of anything?
And no, but he was never tried for anything. He was never convicted of anything. And I'm not saying that Elvis was innocent either. I'm not saying that Michael was guilty. Well, I'm actually saying there's always two schools of thought on this. But I think they should have they I think they should have covered it because it did form a major part of what happened to him towards the end of his life, because it was
Right,
something that happened, how he felt throughout it, how the rest of the family felt throughout it. It kind of packs the biopic. I'm not saying that they have to have a major case with all these, with enacting all the stuff, because there are other people involved in that. I'm just saying it was a part of his life. Elvis was never charged with anything. And there were always those rumors about Elvis. But what I'm saying is it happened. It was a big trial. I remember when he turned up in his lounge pants at the court.
mm.
There were things.
Just
What I'm
never
saying is
tried,
it was something that happened. I'm not
but
saying
we
that they had to go into the detail of it because we all saw the documentaries. What I'm actually saying is that, yeah, as a major celebrity, people do go through these things, but that's why I don't like to talk about it, because there's always these two schools of thought, and I think there's a lot of sensitivity about around those sort of allegations. That's why I'm saying he was found innocent, and that draws the line, and I don't speculate.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What comes out and what is proven, legally and stuff. Sometimes it can be true, and sometimes it may not be true, right? But I think what Umar is
I
saying in one
don't
of the first,
believe it was true. I don't believe it was true, but that's
I don't
my
think it was
opinion.
either, but what I'm saying is, if Michael Jackson can be tried for something, right, that in the end turns out legally to be deemed as, not guilty, but then you have big legends and artists such as Elvis Presley, which we know, and it is factual, that he was in a relationship and married to an underage minor, but he was never poked at for that. Nobody looked into that
Well,
any deeper. He didn't get
yeah, I
tried for
mean,
any.
did he marry her when she was a minor? He didn't marry her when she was a minor. The whole thing about it is the one thing that people forget about the Michael Jackson case is that he was tried by the feds, and the feds have a 99.9% conviction rate or a 98% conviction rate, and he was found not guilty. It's very hard to beat the feds, as Diddy found out.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the problem is for me, right? And I think what Umar is saying as well is that we can even have, some artists or celebrities or whatever of different races or ethnicity. And let's just be very clear and blunt about it, white ones. And it's very clear. It is very clear, just like with Trump. It's very clear that these people are doing what they know, but their lives don't get dismantled and torn apart. They don't get drugged through the media for everybody to make fun of or make speculation whether they did it or they didn't do it. They don't have to sit in these court cases for however long they have to sit. And then once they die, those things are not added to their documentaries or their life bios. So that's what I think he's saying. It's like, why is it every time it comes to a black legend or a great superstar or artist that it has to be one F on the report card, even if it's manufactured? They can never just rest in peace with like an
Yeah, it's
untarnished
true. It's very
scandal.
true. I think there was, look, for me, put it this way, I think there was a lot more behind the him buying those catalogs
Of
and
course.
owning those catalogs.
And because he said no, he said no. They wanted to
Yeah.
get it back from him. They wanted him to sell it to them. And he said no. Anytime you say no, they're going to make trouble for you in whatever way they can see.
And they got
So
it back after he died, didn't they? Straight away.
straight away, straight away. And the family's got to fight for his royalties, his hard earned, honest earned royalties. Now the family got to fight for what's rightfully his that he intended to go to his family. They have to fight and convince people that it belongs to them, that it belonged to him, that he's the one who did all the hard work to obtain those things. Why? Why? Why is the struggle always like that when it comes to our people? Why? You have to work 10 times as hard to get it. Then you got to work 10 times as hard to convince that it belongs to you. Then you got to work 10 times as hard to get it back after they take it from you or keep it.
I mean,
It's just,
on the same note, and the same record company, and there is someone else as well. You should look
yeah,
at the story of George Michael. Same
yeah.
company.
George Michael. She know a lot about George Michael. She liked George Michael.
Yeah,
Who's
and
it?
also, who else was attached to them?
What,
Wasn't
like
Mariah
the
Carey attached to them?
Mariah
Wasn't
Carey?
Mariah
Yeah,
Carey attached to them as well?
yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're
But
bullies.
hey,
Their type of stuff like the mob or something. It's like they won't let you get out for nothing. And it's like, yo,
yeah,
I want to
yeah, yeah.
know.
Because George Michael, as soon as he had his issues with them,
Hmm.
um, George was caught in a bathroom. Um, I can't remember what the description was, but basically, even though the world knew that he was gay and he hadn't
Yeah,
come out, but
right.
that was it was after he had all these problems with them that he was caught in a bathroom and
Right.
arrested.
They try to just destroy you. They do. They try to destroy you and tarnish your name and defame you and just if you've won or if you're winning or if people like you, it's just like these are the same tactics. And no, it doesn't
and
always
and
break
he
down to
also went to prison. He also went to prison as well for, I think it was drunk driving, and then
mm,
he died. Funny enough, he was probably round about the same age as Michael when he died, round in early 50s.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't necessarily all the time have to be a race thing. We see it happen majorly and a lot more with Black people, but it's happening to so many people and artists undeservingly. It's just like, for whatever reason, you tell them no, or you try to speak up or tell the truth, or you try to, shed light on something that's wrong.
Look at
It's,
Prince. Look at Prince.
yeah, yep.
And look
It's
at
really,
Prince. Prince was actually highlighting that he was in danger.
yeah.
Look at
And
Prince.
Michael Jackson, when he did that last tour, he named the tour "This Is It." This is it. And I don't think he meant this is it as far as this is my, well, in a sense overall, but not like on some like I'm gonna retire and go live, in my mansion. I won't, be doing music or performances or anything anymore because I'm done with that chapter of my life. No. I believe Michael was saying this is it for a whole nother reason. It was gonna be another chapter of his life he's seen coming, but it wasn't going to be life. And I think he already knew. And I think a lot of these people know when they're coming
Yeah, and
after
I
them.
mean, I think if you listen to the album that's got, I think, Liberian Girl, if you listen to some of the tracks, there are subliminal messages in those
Mhm,
tracks. If you
mhm,
listen carefully throughout that album,
mhm. If you
there
are
are
someone,
definitely some subliminals that
if you
he's
someone
talking
who really
about.
listens to music for lyrics, right? Like you listen to the lyrics and you also even invest in, reading the lyrics, right? Um,
Yeah.
if you are someone who consumes music that way, you will find that a lot of these artists send SOSs and subliminals a lot of the time based off of what, and who may be coming after them or how they may be feeling or thinking with whatever it is they're experiencing and they're going through. Even the young artists, the new age artists, I listen to their lyrics and their music. They're clearly disturbed. The ones that's no longer with us, you know what I mean? They were very much clearly disturbed and going through something, a battle, right? But when you're this famous artist and you're around all of these yes men and you have this entourage and you're the cash cow, a lot of time people are not taking time to sit down and say, hey, are you doing all right today? What's going on? Are you going through something? Maybe you need to take a step back and a little break from this or hiatus or whatnot. No, they just push you back up out on that stage and tell you to dance, dance, Chuck, dance, because they want the money. They need you to make the money for them. Everybody who's around is getting a cut and a piece and a profit of that money. And the fans and the consumers, they want your music and your art. They want to hear you sing. They want to watch you dance. They don't care you're having a nervous breakdown. They don't care you're going through a deep, deep depression because you just lost your mother, or you lost your father, or you lost a child. They don't care. Nobody cares. And so, like, when it comes to celebrities and the artists and stuff like that, we have to remember that at the end of the day, it should be very much common sense. These are human beings that live a human experience just like everybody else. Yes, they're very talented. Yes, they perform and they bring us joy and on our speakers and on our TVs and all of those things, but they're human. And I just think we don't respect humanity enough. We don't, whether it's us amongst each other in our own communities and neighborhoods and stuff like that, or if it's, whatever, idols or celebrities, whatever people want to call them, entertainers that they look up to or that they support. No one cares about their life and when they're crashing out and going through things. And I think that's a shame. We got to start caring about each other more, more, more. And I know that this is something I want to get better at as well because I do think a lot of times when people come out and they start to become nasty work, like just angry all the time, hateful, wanting to drag and talk about people all the time. It may just be very well due to the fact that something is going on in their life that they are extremely unhappy. And, it's not up to
Can I
other
ask a
people.
question? Can I ask a question? Was there a particular reason that Janet wasn't featured in the movie?
Mm. I think that's what Umar is about to get into now. He touched on a little bit of that as well. He was like, "There's is no real coverage of the siblings, like especially the
Mm.
brothers, because they were all in the band together. So it's like,
Yeah.
where is the family connection here? Like, why is that missing? So that's interesting. That's interesting. But let's keep going just a little bit further, and then we'll end this, okay? But he's getting
Okay.
ready to talk, I think, a little bit more of that right now. So let's keep
Okay.
going and then we'll be done. All right.
Makes another decision that I think he regrets, Art. So the 1991 contract, that's only for his own personal catalog. You with me? The 6 albums that include Thriller. That's the 15 years, 6 albums with Sony, 91. But guess what Mike does in 1995, Art? He allows Sony Records to buy a 50% share of the ATV catalog. Elvis, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, Cher, Little Richard. Sony Records pays Michael Jackson $95 million for a 50% stake in the ATV music catalog. This makes Michael Jackson basically a 50% owner with Sony Records, right? My third rule of racism is what? White people don't share power with black people. White people do not share power with black people. Sony Records did not sign Michael to those 2 contracts. Sony Records, Art, did not sign Michael Jackson to those 2 contracts just for him to be with them for 15 years. They brought him to the table so they could take over his music completely. And I believe, allegedly, let me say allegedly, I believe this same company was the cause of Michael Jackson's death. Allegedly, I believe that. Now, stay with me. As soon as Michael signs the contract in 95, Art, for the catalogs, he automatically starts falling out with Tommy Mottola. He's not getting his revenue share. They're not letting him make the decisions that he want to make, Art. Mike ain't feeling this at all. Okay? Now, Tommy Mottola, between 95 and 97, Art, Tommy Mottola says, because of these child sex abuse allegations, Art, we don't know if we can support you the way we would want to. Michael Jackson says, wait a minute. I got a 15-year, 6-album contract. I'm the #1 musician in the world, the #1 entertainer in the world, the highest selling album of all time. I'm the king of music, not just the king of pop. I'm the king of music. And we got a 50% stake in my catalog, and you don't know if you can support me. Guess what Michael says, Art? Mike says, no problem. Let me out the contract. I should have never signed with y'all anyway. Michael Jackson tells Tommy Mottola and Sony Records, let me out the contract. They said, we not doing that. October 30th of 2001, Art, Michael Jackson's last album, Invincible, comes out, right? Sony Records wants Michael Jackson to sign a contract extension. Michael Jackson tells Sony Records, I'm not signing no contract extension. I don't want to be a part of y'all no more. Y'all done already pissed me off. I want my catalog back. I want my personal catalog back. I want my ATV catalog back. And I'm done with you racist Neanderthals. Guess what Sony does? They extend their copyright. something that the contract allowed them to do that Michael Jackson didn't know that they could do, Art. And I want to say this, Art, right here, right now. Michael Jackson's attorneys were secretly working for Sony Records, I believe. Let me say allegedly. I believe Michael Jackson's attorneys were working for Sony Records. I'm going to tell you why, Art. Michael Jackson, when he signed the contract in 1991 for his personal catalog, he was under the assumption or the understanding, based on what his lawyers told him, that he would get his masters back in 1999. Michael Jackson thought he was going to get his masters back in 1999. He finds out around 1999, Art, that he not getting his masters back until 2009, the year he died. Are you following me on this, Art? Let me say that one more time. Let me say this one more time. Michael Jackson thought he was going to get his masters back in 1999. His lawyers played him. He finds out in 1999 he's not getting his master recordings back until 2009, the year he died. I think you know where I'm going with this. So now, Art, Tommy Mottola tells Michael Jackson, if you don't extend your contract, we're not going to finance Invincible. Michael Jackson said, I'm not signing no contract extension with you devils. I want out. So they sabotage Invincible, Art, to put him in debt. Why did they want Michael Jackson in debt? To try to force him to sell his personal catalog and the joint ATV catalog, Art. Sony Records was bankrupting Michael Jackson to try to force him to turn over all of his music.
All right, y'all. So we're just gonna go ahead and do our final commentary on this, and we'll end it here at the halfway mark. If you guys want to check out the whole video, again, it's over on the Art of Dialogue channel. I suggest that y'all listen to it all the way through. All of the content with Yo-Yo and all of the content with Dr. Umar that has come out as of recent. Y'all check it out. Check it out. It's really, really good. But Imani, let's go ahead, girl, and give our final thoughts. So as far as Michael, you know, a lot of these things have been said over the years. Dr. Umar's been saying it for a very long period of time, you know, such as many other people. And we have clearly seen now, you know, a lot of these tactics and stuff that they do actually run and play in that nasty, nasty music industry, Hollywood industry, all of it. They're nasty work. So what was your thoughts and feelings on it? Do you agree with Umar with a lot of the setup that he has as far as like the timelines and what happened to Michael and exactly why?
Yeah, well, myself and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's not the only person who had
Mm-hmm.
issues with the same company.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you look at Prince, you look at George Michael, you look at Michael Jackson.
Whitney
I think
Houston.
I think if you went and you researched, you'd find a lot more, and they wouldn't only be black musicians or
No.
black stars, but he was one of the most high profile. I definitely do, and I definitely am of the opinion. I didn't know, and I'd like to look into those dates. Actually, I'm pretty sure that they must be on point because that's 10 years after the '99, and he died in 2009. It's really interesting, but you know, I always was of that opinion, and they did get the catalog back, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did. They got exactly what it is they were trying to get.
Hmm.
You really can't make this
But
stuff up. The proof is in the pudding right there.
yeah, but I do want to see the movie just to see it. I've heard mixed reviews about the movie, but
Yeah,
and there is meant to be a second movie.
yeah, I hear that. I gotta watch one, girl. We gotta watch one first.
Mm, definitely. Well, we got a
uh,
couple of things we still haven't watched. We haven't watched the documentary about Carbon Nation
Right,
and the
right.
Jacko movie
Which one?
and the Michael Jackson movie or the Jackson movie.
Michael Jackson and the Carbonation. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll set that on our calendars. Maybe we can watch that one of these weekends coming up, and then we can do a
Yeah,
review on it properly. As far as what we saw and what we witnessed.
yeah. I mean, that's it. I'm definitely of the opinion, and my opinion, I agree with probably, well, almost all of what Dr. Umar says. But it's not a popular opinion. It's not a popular
Yeah,
opinion. But definitely, there are a few people who had problems. Like I said, remember when Mariah Carey got really ill?
yeah, yeah. And she kept a lot of that, to herself. She didn't really talk about it or publicize on what exactly was going on with her, but it all was it was very questionable because these type of things when you see it, they happen out of nowhere. Like people don't have no
Wasn't
actual,
she married to Tommy Mottola? Wasn't she married to him?
yeah,
Hmm.
used to lock her up in the house and she couldn't go nowhere. She had a tough time with that man. Then she
Hmm.
finally got free. And I think Michael spoke up for her as well when it comes to Tony Mottola. He was speaking and saying how nasty he was and how poorly he treated Mariah.
Hmm.
But I'm glad she got out of it. I really am glad she got out of it because, we see how it can end for some people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good review. I like, don't always agree with Dr. Umar, but I must say I agreed with him on most of what he was talking about, especially that horrific comedy.
Yeah. That one really got me a little bit fired up and angry because I did not know all of those jokes was being and they're not
Neither did
jokes.
I.
Even call them jokes. I would call them drags and digs. Like that's disgusting. That it's just nasty. There's no comedy in that. There's nothing funny about any of that. And for them to sit up there in their little shiny glittery suits and hee hee ha ha and put on their big smiles with their veneers, you just fake. You're fake. Because there's nothing funny about that. And they sit there and let people laugh, in your face. They laughing at you. They laughing at your expense. They're laughing at your deceased family members' expense. And y'all think that that's funny. This is the type of comedy and games that y'all play. I can't make sense of it. I really can't. I really can't. But, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here, girl. That's all I really got to say on all of that. Two excellent interviews and conversations. Anybody, if you like what you heard here tonight with some of these clips and you want to hear the full, interview, go over and check out Art of Dialogue. Subscribe to his channel and support. Really great channel, really great interviews. But yeah, that's really all I got on this one. Imani, you got any final thoughts before we get up out of here? And you
No,
can unmute.
no, it's been an interesting one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been an
yeah,
interesting one. I like doing this, you know, different types of content. Like I said, like you said, Art of Dialogue, great channel. Please go over there, subscribe, check out the interviews, go back in the historical interviews. He's got some great stuff on there. And support him as we should. Great interview style as well, because he just lets people cook.
yeah, yeah. He don't say too much. He'll ask, the good questions and whatnot, and then just let them go, and that's it. And it's very respectful. There's always a great energy with the interviews he does, and you can tell that when the guests come, they're very comfortable with him and they're very personable with him. Because you see how they say art, and a lot of the interviews, and the people that come to a show, they are like, frequent. They come a lot. They do a lot of interviews over the years with him. He's got a lot of loyal people over there with him. So he's doing something right for sure. But yeah, y'all, that is literally all we got on this. We hope y'all enjoyed this live, something a little different to get away from the politics for a change. Thank you all for coming in and stopping by, whether you was in the chat or listening from the bushes. We appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow. And of course, it is another weekday. So yeah, we will have some more political updates to bring to you all, and more fun things to come. So just keep watching and keep supporting. It only goes up from here, y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and end us out with a bop, girl. And then I'll talk to you
keep
later.
supporting and keep supporting the other content creators. There's lots out there, lots of people doing good things out there, and lots of people doing alternative stuff to what we do. Support your content creators.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, y'all, that's all we got. So Golden and Imani is out. Bye. Everybody have a wonderful night. I'm going to end this out with a song and talk to y'all tomorrow.
They don't know her like I do. Nah. Golden. She moved through the city with her hair held high. Pretty brown skin with a storm inside. Everybody see the glow, they don't know the pressure. Smile so warm, but her heart no weather. Late nights riding while the skyline blur. Trying not to cry when the memories occur. Had to learn fast, everybody ain't loyal. Some people love you long as they control you. Now she move careful, energy expensive. Too many fake vibes hiding in the friendship. Used to give love with her hands wide open. Now every scar got the whole vibe frozen. They don't know her like I. No, they don't know. She goes by golden, soft voice, deep soul, hope or glowing. She goes by golden. City lights dancing with her heart stay open. Long dark roads, but she still stay focused. Everybody watching, but they don't really know her. Too much grace with the games they throwing. Real love, rare, so spirits they guarded. Beautiful soul, but the pain left marks in it. Mirror tell the truth when the lights go dim. All the things she carry weight heavy within. She survived nights she don't even speak on. Still finding peace while the whole world ain't wrong. Funny how the love disappear when you're healing. Funny how the fate come around when you win. Now she trusts God more than people intend. Just cause smiles hot and being hidden the big. She's still soft-hearted but she way less naive. Can't keep pouring love where there's nothing received. Still dancing slow through the hurt and confusion. Trying not to lose herself chasing illusions. She survived the fire. Still glowing through the smoke. Still dangerous. Still chosen. She goes back golden. Slow so deep made the whole room notice. Heavy lies couldn't break what was chosen. Still standing tall while the whole world folding. She goes back golden. Heartbreak turned to pens in the matter. Now the tears got rhythm when she's singing. And they still don't know her like that. They still don't know her like that. Spend so much time looking for love in strangers. Spend so much time. Spend so much time letting outside voices shake the mirror. But at the end of the night, when the lights fade, when the city cried, when the tears dried, we still got